Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the No Laying Up podcast. Soly here. We have our weekly recap coming shortly. We divided this up into two parts. I caught up with the boys over in Wales, Cody and Randy. Got in at an hour that was not ungodly for them. This was while the final round of the Wyndham was taking place. Once we finished recording, watched the end of the Wyndham, and then caught the back half of this episode will be myself and the Pie Man talking about Cameron Young, who is officially a winner on the PGA Tour. His week began with a crucial decision to tee up a Pro V1X prototype golf ball for the first time following recent testing sessions with the Titleist golf ball R&D team. The team at Titleist is constantly collecting tour player feedback on golf ball performance. This never-ending process can result in the development of new prototypes, some designed to finely tune specific flight, spin, and feel characteristics. This week was the first opportunity for Cam to test the model on site at a tour event and potentially put it in play, which he did after thorough sessions with the Titleist team on Tuesday and Wednesday. Cam was hitting tight draws. The ball was flying in the perfect window for him. He was seeing tons of control with his off-speed shots. Safe to say the results came back very quickly as he ran away with his first win after 4 competitive rounds after the move. Cam's full what's in the bag Pro V1X prototype golf ball, a GT2 driver, GT3 3-wood, GT2 hybrid, a blended set of T200 and T100, and custom 631.CY blades, 4 Vokey SM10 wedges, 3 F grinds, and a 60-degree K-Star lob wedge, along with the Phantom 9.5 Tour prototype putter. One of the coolest bags on tour, and Titleist just posted a full What's in the Bag with Cam on their YouTube channel. Go check that out if you want to hear more straight from Cam on his setup. Without any further delay, here's our boys from Wales talking AIG Women's Open, back half Wyndham Championship with my guy, DJ Pie. Enjoy the show. Thank you for tuning in. All right, folks, they're here in their trusty radio booth. If you are hopefully watching this on the YouTubes, they've completed their week in Wales. Mr. Big Cody and Mr. Big Randy. Hello, guys. Thank you for calling in on, I'm sure, a lovely Sunday evening in Wales.
Well. Soly, great to be here on the program. It is a beautiful Sunday evening. Now, it didn't start this way, but yeah, I'm pumped. Big, what about you?
Yeah, we're looking out at what's going to be a gorgeous Welsh sunset. It was unimaginable this morning. God, it was just pissing rain and blowing, some proper conditions. But yeah, Soly, we're going to break it all down. Great to be here. We had a great tournament. Great week as always. We're going to get into it.
I was so excited when I flipped the TV on, saw what I saw. The earmuff game was out of control. There was a little bit of moisture in the air. The wind, absolutely. Well, that first hole was like impossible. I think they had a little graphic they put up there that nobody made birdie for like 5.5 hours. As I forget who was lining up a birdie putt, but she ended up missing it. I think there was maybe one birdie on the opening hole all day. Nobody could keep it off the left side. That first few hours that I watched this morning was what I absolutely love about golf in general, and just absolutely fighting the elements, having to hit proper shots. It was everything, guys. I can't even imagine how fun it was in person.
Which, real quick on that first hole, which makes you think, it's only the first hole this week. It's the 18th hole for the members. So you want to talk about what would have been a brutal finish for these women if that were the 18th.
Which, by the way, I will say, the right decision for this tournament.
I mean, there was just no way to build up any infrastructure down by that green. So you can't finish a major with like nobody around.
And I think the flow, when we showed up here on Tuesday and we played in the Pro-Am, I was like, wait a second, I don't really like it when they change it just because to accommodate hospitality and stuff like that. But the flow of the finish made sense. Finishing on a par 5 was electric. And I think that flow leading up to that hole, knowing that there's potentials for definitely birdies, but even really good eagles out there, like it made the finish interesting. Now, that's not really the finish that we got. Miya, I'm afraid to say her last name.
We need a quorum. We've been saying it, Soly Yamashita, because I think that is the correct way to say it in Japanese. So we were told Cody was going out literally with her Saturday. And they're like, oh, by the way, Cody, I know we've been saying Yamashita this whole time, but we're actually going to change to Yamashita. It was a total mind fuck for us. So we can say it either way. Dude, she was so good. She was amazing. Nails. She's obviously your champion. Won by 2 strokes, 11 under par total over Charlie Hall and Minami Katsu. Soly, where do you want to start? What questions do you have for us?
Well, I think it just starts right off the bat of what we're talking about with what those conditions. And, you're kind of, a little bit of fluctuation in the leaderboard. She had a tough Saturday. It was like, okay, is this open season? Is she going to end up giving this away? There's a lot of contenders coming after her. There are a lot of good scores posted on Saturday. Andrea Lee shooting up the board among some other names. And it was kind of, I guess in my head, I was like, she's still kind of struggling come Sunday. And then you look up and she was playing the 17th hole and she hadn't made a bogey yet. And it was in some really, 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 really hard conditions in the early part of that. And we were watching bogeys on bogeys on bogeys and a lot of other groups, and a lot of putts were not falling. And it was just kind of like, oh my gosh, she was like very quietly put together it wasn't an exciting Sunday, but it was just a spectacular performance. And it was a statement. She was the very clear winner.
I'll go back to Saturday real quick because you touched on that point. I walked with her that entire round, and she had, I think she turned at 1 over and then picked up 2 birdies pretty quick. But birdieing the par 4 11th and the 16th are holes that I'm always going to remember from this week because they play basically directly back into the wind. They're not that long, but they're so hard. The drive is very, very hard. The second shot is hard. And then when you get there, both greens are completely exposed, like up on kind of high ground, and the wind is just whipping around everywhere, and you have bunkers and long grass and everything all over the place. It's crazy. So when she birdied 11 yesterday, I was like, okay, this is good. The whole time I'm calling the golf, and we'll get to a lot of radio later, but I'm thinking, I have to check my notes every single time before I say her name because I'm afraid of messing it up now. And like in the back of my mind, I also have like what TC calls her all the time, Mamacita, and I'm like, oh my, like this is a disaster. The BBC people are going to be furious here, but yeah, she shot 74 yesterday. The crazy thing about it is that what Miya is known for is bogey avoidance. So today, the only bogey that she had on was 17, which is an extremely difficult golf hole. Like, that doesn't surprise me. She leads the LPGA Tour in bogey avoidance. She has the most rounds on the year of without a bogey. Like, that's all she does is hit fairways, greens, and like puts the lights out of it.
Well, yeah, and you want to talk about bogey avoidance. I still think the shot of the tournament could have been her par save yesterday on 17, Saturday's round. She was scuffling, like Cody said. Looked like she was going to throw up bogeys on 14, 16, and 17. She had really thinned a bunker shot from the front right of that 17th green, long. I mean, had like a 40-foot putt from off the green coming through not only the fringe, but the late in the day. Those links greens are bumpy. She rammed it right in the heart for par. And I just felt like that was going to be a moment for her. She was so good today. A couple early up and downs to save pars to avoid those bogeys. And then after that, I just thought she was as steady gets. Ended up birdieing the 4th, the 8th, the 9th. So she goes out in 33. And then it was just a bunch of easy pars until she got to that 17th. Now, Soly, I will quibble just a little bit. I don't think that the very end was as exciting as we wanted to, but Charlie Hall made this an exciting golf tournament.
Yeah,
she was charging not only Saturday, she was charging today. When she dropped that birdie on 14, which was unbelievable. I mean, that was like the other really, really difficult par 4 on this golf course. I believe that got her to within 2 shots, or maybe even, 2 shots at the time. And Yamashita still had to go through that difficult stretch as she was 2 holes behind. So ultimately, Charlie fell off. We're going to get into Charlie, but Yamashita, man,
Yamashita had a long par putt on 13 as Charlie was making birdie. Like, she had a long par putt to keep the lead, and she poured it right in the center. And that was a moment where it looked like the hunt was on, and then from then on out, it just was not, because Charlie made
also had like a 6-foot tester on 14. Yamashita did to save par. I mean, those were 2 clutch putts. Yeah. So for folks that don't know her, okay, rookie this year on the LPGA Tour. This was her first LPGA Tour win. This is her first, obviously, major championship, but she'd won 13 times in Japan All right. She just turned 24 years old Saturday of the tournament. She got all 13 of those wins in Japan between 2021 and 2024. And so, guys, I do think it's interesting. I'd love to get your opinion. I think she's different than a lot of other 24-year-old first-time major winners in the sense that, yes, she's a new name to us. She's certainly like a new name to most women's golf fans in the Western Hemisphere, but she's a star in Japan and she knows how to close golf tournaments. And I just think like everything that's going to come with winning a major championship, I feel like she's dealt with. She certainly has dealt with in Japan by winning at the clip that she has. I don't think this is a situation where it's going to be like, oh my God, this is totally going to change your life. You know, you're going to get so much media requests and everything. I feel like she's probably been through that for the last 3 years. And with that being said, it's like, she looks really good. I mean, when her putting is on, when her driver is on, Cody, I know she kind of lost it on Saturday. But I just think that because of that experience in Japan, she's not like some other young first-time major winners we might see.
Well, she's not like, yeah, she's 24 years old. Her birthday was yesterday. Big deal around these parts that her birthday was yesterday. Bad round to have on your birthday, but you know, obviously it's great today. And there was cake yesterday when she was done. I almost got cake all over me when I was walking off with her, but she is a rookie on the LPGA tour, but that's where like all of it ends because she has been absolutely lights out on the JLPGA. She's been in the top 50 in the world basically since 2022, like outside of her rookie year. You know, she was like 13th or 17th or something like that going into LPGA Q series last fall. And I'm like, wait a second. What is the LPGA
And she ran
tour?
roughshod over him.
Yeah, she smoked everyone and was like, whatever, won the whatever the card is, or I can't even remember
The qualifying series.
yeah, but I was like, why is somebody that's that good, like not just top 50 in the world, but like top 10 like caliber, why are they even in Q series? I don't understand really what's going on. And then it's taken her a bit, and we've seen that, you know, the EY twins have a bunch of success. And we saw, you know, other people, these
Well, Mal
Japanese
Saigo, we saw at
won.
Chevron.
Yeah, you know, and it's just been like, wow, you know, we knew her time was coming, but what a place to pull it out.
I think she fit the mold. Cody and I spent a lot of time talking about patience. We thought patience was going to be at a premium around Porthcawl, just, you know, because it starts out with such a difficult stretch of holes. You really got to get through those first 4 holes. Kind of at level par is a great score, right? You don't really want to take chances there. And then the course opens up. It starts with the par 5 6th, the par 5 9th, the par 5 13th, the 7th, a little par 4 plays downwind. You kind of turn and there are more scoring opportunities before then getting back into the teeth of the wind. 14, 15, 16. And I thought, you know, unfortunately, none of us picked Miyu early in the week, but she certainly displayed the patience and just moving her golf ball around the golf course, avoiding trouble. The few times that she really was in trouble, I feel like she immediately got back into position and did everything possible to limit the damage, right? No compounding errors. And when you're that good of a putter, I believe she's top 10 in strokes gained on the LPGA tour in putting. Like she's limiting the bad holes. She's capping them at bogeys, and that proved to be the winning formula.
Porthcawl, guys. I mean, it asks specific questions. You guys got in the detail wise tighter than I can even imagine in terms of. I saw Randy getting deep in a yardage book multiple times out there. He can relay exactly what bunkers are and where holes are. You guys were incredible on the radio, but I freaking loved how well positioned the bunkers were to like make you think and to make you play strategic golf. And like that, sometimes these really, really good golf courses, the more we watch them on the men's side, some of these obstacles get blown over, are obsolete, and don't really come into play. And so many of the features get kind of nullified because you're hitting wedges in and just doesn't really matter. But at this scale, this made so much sense. And there was so many of those shots even today of balls trickling into bunkers that like saw some early tee grabs. And, back on the ground, people, on course reporters like, that looks great. And from the booth, they're like, nope, that found the second bunker.
Yep.
And just, again, if you've not played a ton of links golf, you don't know what that feeling is like to try to manipulate the shape of your golf ball so that when it lands, it's not moving towards a landmine like that is hot. That's what we are talking about a lot when it comes to like very real testing golf. You couldn't just play like your little stock shot wherever you wanted to all over this golf course. You needed to be in control of your golf ball. And again, is that going to be like mind-numbingly exciting golf? No, but like for a golf nerd and nut to watch that on repeat that golf course was alive. I know sometimes on the ground experience, you guys might come back and say it was great. And then on TV, we would say, yeah, it didn't come through. I thought it came through really, really well this week.
Good. That's great to hear.
God, that's awesome to hear.
Those bunkers were magnetic, man. Like all those slopes around them, they were so drastic. Like, and I'm thinking about the 18th hole, the par 5 finisher. One little feature I love on so many links golf courses is that little catch bunker, or almost like the one that's 30, 40 yards short of a green. That is always a factor because it dictates where you're coming in from is going to have a major effect because you need to land him short to chase him up in there. And like having to like navigate that one, Charlie ended up forcing it right of that bunker and right of another bunker into a little hollow where with the pin tucked right behind that. She was in a hollow, needing to clear a bunker to a tightly tucked pin to get up and down on it. It was impossible. Like she just hit it in the wrong spot and you're toast. And like, that's the kind of stuff that I obviously geek out about.
I think I agree with everything you said, Soly. Those bunkers that are set back like 30 to 40 yards, specifically on the par 5s,
yes,
where these women play a game where they are trying to run something up. I think anybody who plays this golf course, unless you're like carrying it 320 plus, meaning like if they ever tried to hold it open here, number one, they could never do it just because of how Porthcawl is set up. They can't support that. But the golf course wise would just be completely overpowered. But the par 5 specifically, maybe not so much 6. There's trouble off the tee box, but really when I think of 9, I saw a lot of people that landed their ball and tried to run something up, but there's those pot bunkers that are 20 to 30 yards short, gobbling everything up. The same thing on 13. Charlie was in that today and had to play like a 40-yard explosion shot and get it to run up there. And then really the one that I saw the most balls in that wasn't a par 5 is that one that's kind of not really in the line of play, but it is because of the way 17 is set up. That one that's short left on 17. Because the way the wind is, everybody's trying to land it so far short because nothing is going to hold that green. And they're like, yeah, cool, land it there. But that pop bunker's right there. You're going to be boned.
It's such a wonderful golf course for the scale of the women's game. I think that's what we're talking about, right? And I think further what makes it unique is the routing, right? It's not just simply an out and back, so you're kind of getting 2 wind directions. It goes out and wraps around, and then the back 9 kind of wraps in on itself. So you're really having to play shots in every type of wind. And yeah, it just, Ian Carter, our good buddy Ian Carter at the BBC, we were talking about it's fun to watch golf on a golf course like this where the shots being hit are you can envision when was this golf course built, the late 1800s. Like I'm sure these were the types of shots they were envisioning. It's not just flying it past certain bunkers, it's not hitting wedges high and spinning them back. It was proper golfing your ball out there. And so I think Royal Porthcawl was absolutely a star this week. Kudos to the ground staff. The golf course was in fantastic condition. My perception coming into this week was heavily colored by that Senior Open several years or 3 years ago, I think it was, where the weather was biblical.
It's crazy.
And so I was kind of expecting like, oh, the weather's gonna suck. I don't know about this golf course. And oh my God, leaving here, I'm like, Royal Porthcawl is near the top. Like it's the golf course. You watch golf out here, and I want to go out and play that golf course. And I thought that's what we thought Tuesday too, after we finished the Pro-Am. It's like, okay, I've seen it now once. Let me go play it again. I want to hit shots. It just is, it's awesome, man. And I really think they need to bring this this championship back here. They can't be a stranger to Porthcawl.
And I want to go pause. First of all, that's a fantastic review, Randy. But I want to pause too on just that, like the scale, the comment you made there. That's everything in sports. Like the scale has to fit. If you played a baseball game with 250-foot fences, that wouldn't make sense. And if you played it with 500-foot fences, it wouldn't make sense. If the bases were 95 feet apart, that wouldn't make sense. If they were 85 feet apart, that wouldn't make sense. Like the measurements of the factors, like they have to put baseballs in humidifiers when they go to Coors Field because like the scale of the game doesn't make sense there. So when we spend as much time as we do harping on how messed up the scale is in men's golf, like again, if you play an NBA game on a court that is like 30% too small, like that wouldn't make sense. If you shrunk the NFL field down 30%, like that would not be a better product. And that these are not perfect analogies for the distance and technology discussion of it. It's just to say like the scale of how the game is played matters so much. I don't expect it to be a massive takeaway from people that turned on golf on television, but it's just because we've gotten so used to what we've watched over the last several decades that it might not stand out to you. But like on a week like this one, to me, it really does stand out.
Yeah, one of the enduring memories will just be, watching these women hit 3-woods, hybrids into these par fours and their ability to do so. It's crazy, I was joking, like, can you imagine?
Not because they're overly long, because that's what the hole calls for.
Right,
Meaning that
because of the wind.
Majority of par fours, even some, the wind is punishing your tee shots so much, and others because there's genius crossing bunkers and hazards that limit where you're hitting your tee shot anyway. So 17 is tough, not because of the length of it. It's because I don't care who you are, your tee shot can only go 210 yards. Because even you would have to carry something 290 probably in the air just to have a chance to get over those crossing. There's 2 bunkers that cross it. Now the men would probably do that, but that's why is because everything kind of is the way that it should be.
Right, and because of that, and Solly, to your point, like what makes links golf so much fun is, like 16, 17. There are holes on the scorecard that say par 4, but really you can think of them as par 5s. And there are holes on the scorecard that say par 5, and they should be treated more as par 4s this week.
Mhm.
And it's all dictated by the wind and the conditions. And yeah, it was awesome. Let me real quick on Yamashita enduring. What's the lasting moment shot? I mean, is it the putt on 17? Is that the one we're going to remember? Is it something else for you guys?
I hope I have it right. Was it 13, the par 5 where she drove it in the bunker and then pitched out and made the par, like the par putt that just went in the center of the hole for me when Charlie was making the run. I'm just like, oh gosh, it's not flipping. Like I was kind of rooting for a Charlie Hall comeback. I feel like for as much as we talk about her, it feels like we're ready. We've seen these runs in majors. We're ready for her big moment, the hunt down to win the AIG Women's Open. And when that putt went in, it was like, okay, I don't think this is happening.
Yeah. And
I think for me, it'll be the putt on 17. I think just because I was there calling it and trying to not mess up people's names, but also because like I remember at the time, Kat on one side of me and then Ian in my ear was like, oh, that's like the shot that's going to win her this tournament.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, yeah, because we were setting it up on radio. I'm like, this is going to be a bogey at best, but like double is at play.
I thought she like might drop out of the final group. Like it was, that was kind of it. All right. So we settle that. Should we talk about Charlie Hall? Can we move on?
We can, but I want to just you pointed this out in the happy hour before we got going, Randy. We have to shout out. This is the 21st different winner on the LPGA Tour this year in 20 events. That's not a typo. We have had just perfect parity across the LPGA Tour season. There's been 0 repeat winners. And I was looking around at all the names that have won, and I was like, the winner of this tournament has to come from there. Like this, the streak will end this week, and it did not. I was so tickled by that on the happy hour that I'm excited to see how long the streak can go now.
Yeah. Well, I guess quickly, maybe I should ask one of my favorite questions. How many career majors do we want to give Miya? What's our over under number that we're setting? Like, is 2.5, is that a fun line to set?
Is 1.5 more
Yeah.
fair? Like, there's a lot of
Probably
talent.
more fair for sure.
It comes and goes quickly on the LPGA Tour, as we've seen. That's probably where I would set it. Like, not to say that she's obviously extremely talented, but it's, Nellie's going to have 11. Lottie's going to have more than
There's so
11.
many. You know,
I don't
there's
know how
next
many
to
more. I don't know if we have enough in the models to give Miyu 2 more.
She works hard. She talked about she spent time after Saturday, after her round. She was on the range beating balls. Her dad is her coach. Like, I think it's this ain't no hobby for Miyu. I think she is somebody that is in the process. I was just struck by her demeanor too today, walking around. Like, did not give any emotion, looked like a absolute stone cold assassin. And I don't know, I like to dream that, like, yeah, come on, Miyu, show up at some more majors. Like, let's join the party. I'm ready. We need to see some true duels, I think, between some of the world's best. And she's put herself in that category where, hopefully she'll be one of those women at some of these majors to come.
So this is her 14th major. She's 24 years old. Of those 14 majors, she's only missed 2 cuts. Her lowest finish outside of this win was tied for second last year at the KPMG Women's Championship. This year at the KPM Women's Championship in Frisco, she was tied for sixth. And then outside of that, the 2 missed cuts, her worst finish has been a 48th, and that was at the Evian, which year over year, she's continued to improve at. She went from T48 the first year she qualified for it in 2023, T39, and then this year, T14. So I think she is somebody who, at least on the JLPGA, of the rookie class that came over so far this year from Japan, she is by far the best one. Like, she is way ahead of her peers. And I think that's why, if you're looking for somebody who is going to be somebody who could break that line that you guys sent, theoretically it should be her. But Saul, you're right. There's so much that goes on the women's game.
Yeah.
Yeah, 3, like you mentioned it, 3 top 10s in her 14 majors. And it's, again, worth pointing out, like, age 24 on the women's tour is not as young as age 24 on the men's tour, historically speaking, in terms of, I think we'd be freaking out about the long-term future of a 24-year-old major winner on the men's side. But on the women's side, they cycle out a lot faster. That's just
There is, but I know that was the trend really for the last 5, 8 years, but it's changing. And I think it's changing without people really noticing, just because now people are staying in college, and the Japanese women and the Koreans are playing their tours longer before they come over and start playing full time on the LPGA tour and start getting into these major championships. So yeah, we always talk about this kind of roof that is put on the women's game about 30, 31 years old and stuff like that, but even that is starting to trend further back. So it's
Yeah.
interesting. I know that's like what we get from living in the era of Lexi, and then now Nelly, and looking at her age and stuff like that. But a lot of these people outside of Lydia, they want to play for a longer.
Yeah. I asked the guy who was interpreting for Miyu during the trophy ceremony. He's obviously deep into the Japanese golf scene, and I was asking him, like, when and how do somebody like Miyu and these other Japanese women, like, when do they make the decision to come over to the LPGA Tour? And he said, honestly, they're getting more and more. They used to wait a long time because they wanted to be totally sure, they wanted to be set. And he was like, the risk there is, like, you could get too settled in Japan and never really make the leap. But he said, with all the success that we've seen, certainly in the last couple of years, these women, he thinks, are going to be enticed to come over earlier and earlier in their careers. So I, dude, it is a total wave of Japanese women coming into the LPGA Tour, and I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon.
That comment when he said it made zero sense to me about like getting comfortable, and I'm like, well, why wouldn't you want to go play for bigger purses and stuff like that? And he's like, no, like, the JLPGA, like the majority of the events are 4-day events, but a lot of them are 3-day events. And because of where they're at, they're in their beds every single night by like 3 hours after the round is completed on Sunday. And they don't travel to the tournament until Wednesday morning, and they're there in 2 hours to play whatever pro-am. So for them, it truly is like, no, I'm gone Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night I'm back home in my bed. So I can see how they could get extremely comfortable and do it. But cheers to them. I'm just going through Miyu's victories on the JLPGA and see who finished runner-up to her, excuse me. So her first win in 2021, Ayaka Fudue. That's who she beat, who
By
finished
5
second.
shots.
By 5. There are a couple more wins, names I don't necessarily recognize right now. But then we get to 2022 Japan LPGA Tour Championship, Miami Katsu. Then the next one, Chisetsu Iwai. Then the next one, Aki Iwai. Then the next one, Miyu Sato, Aki Iwai, Ayako Fudue. Like, they're all there. All of these names that we're seeing now, I'm like, holy cow. They've just been developing in Japan, and now they're finally coming to take the world over.
So homework for all of us, time to get deep into the JLPGA.
For
I think
sure.
that's the big takeaway. Time to do some prospecting.
I was going to say, some of the training you guys got this week on pronunciation, and you have to commit. Are we doing like the English version of the pronunciation or the Japanese? Because we might be doing this for the next decade. We might need to stick to one.
We got to reach out to Poosh and see what the
Poosh is going to be our North Star on this.
Yeah. Well, before we get down the leaderboard, Randy, if you'll allow me, I want to give a shout out to our friends at Holderness Bourne. I've got the Lawson hoodie on here right now. Stormy day here. It afforded me a chance to throw a hoodie on here today, nice and cool. What do you got on there?
I have it's an excellent new polo. Sorry, I got speaking to the microphone. It's an excellent new polo. It's kind of like the forest, the tree print theme. Makes me feel at home in Denver.
I love that. They got new colors in the Harwood short as well. They got Ivy and Andover in those. The shorts are very quickly becoming a best seller for them. They're versatile for off the course as well. The Amherst colorway you've heard us talk about, that's the soft purple. There's the Bedford colorway, which is the soft dusty blue, and the Cape colorway is like a faded coral. And then the Maxwell shirt is the iconic peak style. It's great in heat. It's updated with new colors, those new colors we just mentioned. And again, it's not too early to think about cashmere. Cashmere is something they have been experimenting with and knocking out of the park, if I may say. A bunch of their guys over at the Open Championship this past month were wearing some of that.
Cody and I think, could have used cashmere a couple times out here at Porthcawl this week.
Porthcawl, that can't be the first time that's happened.
Oh my God, it's been tough. I need to stop talking.
I feel like it should be Porthcawl. Anyways, NLU 10 at hbgolf.com gets you 10% off your first order, and that in our trap draw discount code. Only ones in the market for Holderness Bourne. So hbgolf.com, code NLU10 gets you 10% off your first order. Randy, where do you want to go next?
All right. If you're watching along on YouTube, we need to acknowledge Cody and I are in a new location. That is because we had been recording at this area called The Drop, which was in the Fan Village. I think they pulled the cord for the Wi-Fi in the Fan Village. So we have
Wrap it up.
Yeah. You don't have to go home, but you got to get the heck up out of here. We have made our way over to the media center. So that's where we are, a little booth in the back. I think it's time to talk about Charlie Hall. And Charlie made this interesting, right? We talked about that birdie on 14. She got within one of the lead briefly. It was an awesome weekend for Charlie. She went out Saturday and was 7 under through her first 13 holes, ended up shooting 66, came out today, Sunday, and needed to charge some more, and she did. She played a really clean front nine, which, listen, a little uncharacteristic maybe for Charlie. She's not necessarily always known for her patience and bogey avoidance, but that's just what she did. She played the par threes fabulously. I should note, she birdied number 5, she birdied number 8, she birdied number 12. She really had it going. And I really think, as I was watching Charlie, like, there's not much more fun in golf for me, in pro golf, than watching Charlie Hall chase down the lead. And that's what she did today. Ultimately came up short, finished 9 under, 2 shots back. I don't think she gave this away by any means. She did bogey the 16th and 17th. They're difficult golf holes. and I think some of that's just links golf. I don't think the moment got too big for her. I think
How does the moment? She never had hold of the moment.
yeah, that's what I mean. So I listen, I don't think like I don't come away like down on Charlie like she didn't get it done. I come away from like damn, Charlie gave it a good run, similar honestly to 2023 at the US Open at Pebble Beach. And I guess the question with Charlie is like, is she ever gonna get one of these? I feel like she needs. I don't know if she needs to.
Now you're talking yourself in circles because you're saying that she didn't get it
Yeah.
done, but now you're putting the bat back on her.
Well, no,
So I'll
I
say
just
this:
think it'd be great if she won one.
Of course, it'd
Yeah.
be great if everyone won one, but I don't think that's realistic. I think starting the week, Charlie had some virus. She's talked, the last time that she competed was at the Evian. She had to withdraw after the first round because she was fainting on the golf course. She was super sick, had some sort of viral infection, went to the emergency room, was discharged, and actually her agent was texting the tournament director asking if Charlie could come finish her first round after hours. So play had concluded, and they were trying to get her to be like, no, I still want to compete. I understand that I like miss my tee time and everything, but like I want to be in this. They said, no, go home. So she hasn't worked out in 3 weeks now, which is huge for her. She's somebody who talks a lot about her mental health and what it's like living with her ADHD. Going into this week, we even said this, like, Charlie wasn't even in any of these pictures. I think this was an excellent tournament for Charlie Hall. I think this Sunday she made it super exciting, but I don't think that I'm going to put all of that on her like we did at Walton Heath. Walton Heath, she lost the golf
Walton
tournament.
Heath, yes, exactly. And I guess that's exactly right. That's the distinction I wanted to make between that week and this week. This is her fourth runner-up in a major. So she's been knocking on the door. I think the other thing that I always just appreciate when coming over here, we saw it at Walton Heath, and certainly we saw it this week. She's a big deal, right? I know that's not like breaking news, but it is something to behold in person, seeing how much support she gets in this part of the world and how much people really do pull for her. It's always great to be reminded of that. So great week for Charlie.
Especially a week that started out with load fever. There was everybody, all they want to do is talk about their
ridiculous.
new, young Brit star that's out there. And Charlie was like, no, don't forget about me. And at points in time yesterday, all of a sudden we saw Charlie, we saw Georgia Hall, we saw Bronte Law. Everybody be like, wait a second. The British are coming.
Did we say Mimi?
Yeah, I mean it's crazy, but you're right. I'm not going to put that on Charlie. I think this is an excellent T2 finish. She was never in contention of this tournament, so I don't feel like it's an actual loss there.
Yeah, I do think it does feel like if she is going to win a major, like today was kind of the way she is going to win one, where she's chasing, almost get in the clubhouse and let somebody kind of fall back behind her. So yeah, I don't know, Soly, anything else stick out to you from watching?
She is a needle mover in terms of just the playing style and the mannerisms, and she makes you feel something when you watch her, man. I mean, the
She's
early tee grabs, she went after, she was hitting a pitching wedge to a back pin. I don't remember the whole number. And like, I was just watching, I like watching her follow through or lack thereof.
Yeah.
And I swear on a full swing, I don't know if the club cleared her waist on the way through. As far as how much she just digs it into the turf and like does not do a full follow through. And I know you're playing different shots and all that, but it wasn't really even a knockdown shot. It's just, she's got such a unique playing style. And I swear she's got a bet going with her caddy on how fast she can get the club back in the bag after she hits a tee shot. It's just, I don't know. There's something about it, man. It's fun to watch and it's easy to root for.
When she birdied 14, I was in the group directly behind her. And then the leaders coming up, the one group behind me. So I was kind of sandwiched in there in a group that literally did nothing today. But when she made that on 14, that was the loudest noise I've heard all week.
Yeah.
So much so that I was downwind from it and standing up on the hill, and it encapsulated me. And next thing I know, I was like standing there with goosebumps, being like, "Holy shit, Charlie's gonna do it!" and everybody around us literally being like cheering and everything, rules officials, other media people, you name it, all people inside the ropes doing things that they shouldn't do because we're like, holy cow, it's Charlie's time. Sucks those 2 bogeys, but heck of a week for her. Now, the person that I was in, the other person that finished T2, Miyami Katsu, it's crazy to say like, oh man, she didn't get it done today for somebody who went out and shot 69 and like put together a decent round of golf, all things considered. But like she just didn't have it. So only bogey of the day was at the second hole there. Just wasn't really as sharp with her irons as she had been this week. But, got a birdie at 11, and then it was just like, that was it. She grounded, was grinding her ass off to get it in. Birdie's the 18th to shoot 69 and had a really decent look there for Eagle. But anything that sticks out for you from her?
No, just another Japanese woman who has had a bunch of success this week. That's not true. I want to shout out. She shot a 65 round of the day Saturday.
Yeah,
bogey free. That was really, really impressive. The conditions Saturday were ripe. That was a great round of golf that she put together.
I'll say this too, for all the ones that we've talked about so far and how good their world rankings and stuff. Minami is like 102nd in the world or something like that. This is obviously going to leap her way up the leaderboard, but this was the last tournament this week to solidify. Teams are already set, but to solidify the individual players, the 4 women who are going to represent each team for the international crown. And it's going to be very interesting if she jumps ahead of Aki Iwai, who's sitting in that 4th spot with this finish.
Well, we can quickly kind of move down the rest of the top 10. I think they're worth calling out. In a tie for 4th at 7 under par, you had Korea's A-Lim Kim. She had a great round Saturday herself, just could not get it going. She was playing with Miya Yamashita today. In a tie with her is Ryo Takada. She was 8 under going into the weekend. Her and Miyu were paired together. They played together Saturday. They were vibing their faces off. Rio got caught up more in the conditions on Saturday. She struggled a little bit, shot 74. I guess that's what Miyu shot. They both kind of struggled. Rio, though, Sunday, a lot like Minami, just could not mount that charge. And ultimately, like, hey, great week for her. Another top 5 at a major. I think a lot to take away. I think it's safe to say Miyu's going to jump her in the LPGA Rookie of the Year race. But yeah, I think another name that we're going to hear a lot of in the coming years, certainly at major championships. In a tie for 6, you had Megan Kang. She was at 6 under, along with Wei Ling Shu. Don't know a lot about Wei Ling Shu. This was by far her best finish at this championship. I think it was like her 3rd career top 10 in a major. She's 30 years old. Quite honestly, bit of a I'm not sure we're going to need to spend a lot of time getting to know her, but that's no disrespect to her. Megan Kang was the one. I was expecting a little bit more out of Megan. Megan was playing alongside Charlie today, and I thought that group, that pairing specifically, they could really draft off of each other. And once Charlie got it going, Megan just was not able to go with her. She had bogeyed Cody, the 3rd and the 5th, and just was stuck in the mud most of the day.
Well, from what I saw, at least, she was in the group in front of us. She couldn't get off the tee box. I mean, there was a bunch of quick lefts. There's a couple flared rights, like just really struggling. And I don't want to say it was the moment or anything, but she just seemed a lot different today than she had been the last 3 days.
Yeah. Tied for 8th, Lottie Wode. I don't know whether I'm more impressed with, like, it feels almost disappointing maybe that she was tied for 8th. I mean, she
Totally
came into
fair.
the week as the betting favorite, which is crazy. Of course, she won the Scottish Open last week in her first start as a professional. She had won the Irish Open a few weeks before that while still an amateur. She had finished top 10 at the Open last year. She finished tied for 3rd at the Evian. So I think she came here expecting to win this golf tournament. She was just let down, Soly, a little bit by her putter, and she had a really unfortunate lie on I think it was Friday. Sorry, I don't have it up right in front of me. Friday, I believe, where she triple bogeyed the par 4 16th, and that ultimately, I think, spelled the end of her. What anything you picked up on TV or what? I mean, I think Lottie's somebody that's coming, and I really like that we could have an English budding superstar on our hands. I think golf is good when the English, certainly women's golf, have a true superstar that might be in the hunt week in and week out.
I think there's something to a player's week that you know what like a winning week looks like, and this did not look like a winning week for Lottie Wood. It just, and I'm not that I don't mean to chalk that up as like, oh, she had bad luck or just wasn't her time. It's just like, yeah, it wasn't like the highest quality of play for her, and like had some really bad things happen. The triple bogeys wasn't really knocking down flag sticks, wasn't really draining putts. It just wasn't really all adding up. And she finished T8. Like, I honestly walk away like more encouraged. I regret nothing of getting overhyped in that preview. Like, I think we're looking at a star with some major leaderboard helium. I think it reminds me of, I don't know, I hate to always do the men's comp, but like someone like a John Rahm who was like, hey, was he at his best this week? Nope. What he finished? Like, oh yeah, T7. That's kind of where I feel like we're at with Lottie. Her floor is really, really, really high. And it just, I never once thought I was watching somebody excel greatly this week, and she finished T8. I'm still all in. I'm not budging one single bit.
Yeah, I'm right there with you.
I think that's a good spot. She squeezes a lot out of these rounds, even when she doesn't have close to her A game. I can't wait to watch more of her, honestly.
Yeah. You know, that sucks like kind of for her that we have this big major layoff now, because she's so hot and she's playing really, really good golf. And there's still a lot of golf left in the LPGA season. But I think for her sake, I bet she wishes there were a bunch more majors for this year.
Yeah, I think there's a lot that she needs to. The schedule as it's laid out now, I think it's going to be very good for Lottie. Like figuring out how to live her professional life. You know, it's not that many weeks ago that she was still like on campus at FSU doing her own thing. And like, you know, she doesn't drive a car. So when she comes over to the States, like they have to arrange a driver. That's why, you know, Dermot, her caddy, that's why they selected him, was to kind of help her get around, which I think is like things that we don't think of, but she doesn't have a driver's license. She talked last week, what was she going to do? Like with her winnings from winning the Scottish, she's like, we'll have to buy a car, but it's theoretically I'm buying it, but it's not for me because I can't drive it. So it's for Dermot to drive. That's going to be our American car. So trying to figure out like where's she going to be based out of, what's going on. Like there's just a lot, which I think is going to be very refreshing for her, that she kind of gets what'll feel like a whole year under her belt of living normal professional golf life. And then we're going to come back around to start next year and it'll be game busters. But I would expect her to compete and contend in a lot of tournaments this fall. And like, as crazy as it is for just turning professional and accepting her LPGA Tour status a couple of weeks ago, she is going to be in the running, I'm sure, by the time that we get to the CME, which I understand it's not a major championship, but that's a lot of money at stake for them.
She should buy a limousine. If she's just going to be the passenger, I feel like just buy a stretch limo.
Yeah, the Sprinter van with just like one of the beds in the back. Yeah. I hear you.
Speaking of super impressive, also tied for 8th was our Low Am, our Smith Salver Award winner this week, and that is Stanford's Paula Martin San Pedro. She went 72, 74, 70, and then had the round of the day on Sunday with a 68. And she was she played most of her round in the worst conditions. It was a great week for her.
Lottie won that last year. Paula Martin, she's won every amateur event this summer. It's ridiculous how good she is. It'll be great to continue to watch her develop. I will say, from what I've seen from her, if you're looking at like who does she kind of base, you know, who do you compare her to? She's not the longest by any means. And I say that with a little bit of concern because everybody's hyped about Lottie Mania and stuff right there. But we went through this a couple years ago with Rose, and Rose also doesn't hit the golf ball that far. So Paula Martin, she needs to figure out how to get her ball speed up a little bit more, because that's what's going to be holding her back. And that's what Lottie has in spades. Like her ball speed is way up. She mashes it out there. And I think the rest of the young players that you see, they all have speed numbers that are up. You can't just get away with that anymore on the LPGA Tour. But heck of a show from her. I the whole time I was sitting there thinking about our friend in Spain who constantly roots on Noose. So I'm sure she's absolutely like just fired up about this finish. Andrea Lee, I'm going to bounce out of the top 10 real quick because I was with her all day today. She tried so hard to force things. And I don't think I know she's going to learn a lot from this position that she was in, starting the day, 3 back, but she just tried to force way too much. And it was like glaringly obvious from the moment that I picked her group up that, like, man, like when you're not rock solid and you're trying to force things at pins on links golf that are like, that sucker pins out there for a reason. Like, don't you dare try to take it on because you're going to end up in that pot bunker right there. That's exactly what happened to her. And it just like, she kept trying to do that time and time and time again, and it was just not the round that she wanted. And it sucks that she slipped out of the top 10, but what a year in majors for her. I mean, I feel like she is continuing to elevate her game and putting herself
exactly.
Just stepping up. And she had so much success as an amateur and not so much so far in her professional career outside of the one win, but man, she just like keeps learning and getting better.
Yeah, knocking on the door. Steph Kiriakou was the final one, tied for 8th. I don't want to shortchange her. She had a hole-in-one, another near hole-in-one this week. Quickly just down the leaderboard in honor of TC, you had Gino Titicum tied for 30th at 1 over par. You had Lydia Ko and Nelly Korda tied for 36th at 3 over par. Hometown Porthcawl member Darcy Harry finished tied for 40th at 5 over par, alongside of our hitter emeritus Madeline Sackstrom. Angel Yin was part of that group, and Yanni Sang. This is the one I want to call out real quick. Yanni Sang, she ended up finishing tied for 63rd +9, but this was the first cut on the LPGA Tour that she's made since 2018. And while not a full-time player, she's played enough tournaments where, yeah, when you haven't made a cut in almost 7 years, it's crazy. She plays LET access tours. She plays back in Taiwan. Like, she goes all over the world to continue to try to grind and get better at golf. And this is somebody that has 5 major championships under her belt, was number 1 in the world for 109 weeks at one point. It's amazing. We got to do a podcast sometime with Yanni. Her story is really crazy.
She came in the booth, Soly, and like was very open and talked through it all. And I'm like, Randy was in there with her asking her great questions, and like that was the first thing that jumped out. She tried everything, and what started with like as a couple hip injuries, and then all of a sudden, while she's trying to recover from that, she just randomly gets the putting yips. And then it's gone through it all from, hand low, both sides, claw, reverse claw, long putters, short putters, side saddle, like you name it, she went through it all. And now she's out there putting left-handed in a major championship, makes the cut there. I can't believe you skipped over LC, man.
Oh, I'm sorry. No.
Can I run through Yanni just so people have a grasp of this? So she won the Women's PGA in 2008 and 2011, won the Chevron in 2010, won the Women's British Open in 2010 and 2011. Also in that little 4-year time period, she finished second at the Women's British in 2008. She finished second at the Chevron and finished third at the Chevron, which was, of course, the ANA out at Mission Hills.
Quick fun fact: I believe the youngest male or female to get to 5 major championships.
She won her last major in 2011, which was 14 years ago, and she is 36. So that was 22 years old. I believe you're right then. But since then, she went in major. She's gone T50, T59, T26, T48, cut, T19, cut, T35, T30, cut, T13, cut, T59, cut, T36, T31, cut, T30, cut, T63 this week.
I asked her, like, why didn't you just quit? Like, just walk away. And she's like, truly, I love this game and I love just trying to get better. And so, yeah, I think we got to chase her down for a podcast. It was unbelievable. I skipped past Elsie. Elsie, I'm so sorry. She battled her ass off this weekend. She ended up tied for 13th, 2 under par. She was in a group with, among others, Minji Lee and our new best friend, Hoiju Kim. We saw her at dinner. She's so nice. She's great. We didn't know if she'd like, we played with her Tuesday in the Pro-Am, and then we saw her at dinner. What was that, Friday night? And we were like, she's not gonna say, like, she's not gonna, let's just be cool. And right away, just, hi. Ended up going over talking to her. She's the best.
Love that. We've been trying to get through with HJ for a long time. I think that's a huge development. That should be the proudest thing you guys should come home with.
Yeah. I will say the one thing about Elsie, rocky start, 75 in the opening round, and like was not feeling it at all, but absolutely played like a woman on fire, like really proper golf in the toughest conditions. I talk about waves, Soly. I know you always talk about waves, right? Over 2 strokes difference between splits. It was crazy.
Yeah, she's grinding. I can't wait. I think she's found form. I can't wait to see what Elsie does the rest of this calendar year. Cody, I was
going to say, I think this is a good thing that we've somewhat skimmed past LC an hour in of a T13 finish. Like, that's a good thing in terms of our respect for LC's game.
For sure.
That's massive respect. Sorry, Cody, last thing I was going to ask you, is there anybody that you kind of saw in person for the first time this week that you want to shout out? Just like, I wasn't familiar with their game, or I was kind of curious what they would, how they would go about things.
Well, I mean, it's the first time we've seen Lottie up close and personal. I didn't see her that much last year at St. Andrews.
I was thinking Mimi Rhodes is somebody for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Impressed with her game.
She's a super into horses. I know Neil will probably get down with that. So I think she actually studied like equestrian science at school. She didn't play college golf anywhere. It's fascinating, actually. I don't know.
She did? I thought she was at Wake Forest.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of the local girl that's actually from
Darcy.
here. Darcy.
Yeah.
Darcy Harry. Excuse me. Mea culpa right there. We can clean that up later. But I'll say this is that when situations get tough, it's always funny that kind of the same type of people always are lingering around there. And like, again, this week, that was Lynn Grant. She didn't play the best on the weekend, but like put herself in position through 36 holes and then just slowly faded away. And I don't know if that's a getting used to it or whatnot, but like she was always there. Super impressed with the big Swede, Anna Norquist.
Yeah.
Like coming in low Swede, she fell way back. Today.
Let's start the will she pick herself for Solheim next year conversation right now.
I'm already dreading the back half of this episode. That part, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to flip on that. I think she should absolutely pick herself 100%.
There we go.
On this side, we're good.
There we go.
What about you?
Well, I think it's Mimi for me. We had shouted her out. I remember in an earlier podcast after she reeled off those 3 straight LET wins, and just wasn't familiar. It was a true situation of like, I'm not familiar with your game. And she came into the radio booth, was really nice, and just watching her hit golf shots, I think I'm really excited to track her progress on the LET. I'm curious if she's going to try to make that jump over to the LPGA at some point, and certainly somebody to kind of at least keep on the radar for Solheim Cup, especially if she keeps having major LET success. Soly, as we kind of wrap Porthcawl, I should note the future venues for this championship. Next year, they are heading to Royal Lytham and St. Anne's. They announced in 2027 they're going to Royal St. George's. But in terms specifically next year at Royal Lytham, I believe that's a golf course you've played. Like, how do you think it will work for an AIG Women's Open?
Randy, it's a golf course I've been lucky enough to play twice. The last time was in 2019. And honestly, man, I think about that golf course so frequently. It's one of those that just sticks out. I can't exactly tell you why. Like, just for example, like Birkdale just down the road, totally totally fine golf course, excellent championship golf course. I don't think about that place a lot, but I think about Lytham all the time. Just how the quaint little property that it sits in, the way the front nine just runs all the way up along these train tracks, making its way out to this tiny little par 3 in the corner. I think there's something like 252 bunkers at Royal Lytham that all have that magnetic feel to them. Like the whole thing is all bunker avoidance. It starts with a par 3, which I know it just has to absolutely tickle you. And the final 4 holes all kind of zigzag in all these different directions. So like you're going to get a tricky wind in some way down the stretch. If it was famously Adam Scott could not hold on to his 3-shot lead, 4-shot lead, whatever it was in those final holes in 2012 when Ernie Els ended up winning. It didn't scream to me like the men's game has truly outgrown this. I think for financial reasons, the Open is not currently going there. I know there was talk at some point. I don't know where things ended up leaving off of that course, making some adjustments of some kind to be able to continue to host the men's game. But there's been some awesome Open championships that have been held at Royal Lytham. You might remember Ian Woosnam accidentally with 15 clubs. That was at Lytham. And why that actually happened was they didn't reach for driver on the opening hole because it was a par 3 and he got to the second hole and realized he had 2 drivers in the bag. And it's a really, really good golf course. And I think it's we talked about this with Porthcawl of like an example of a golf course the women should go to where the scale makes sense. And if the men aren't going to go there, they should play at a course where they can bring some of these features alive. I think Lytham is going to have all of that. Plus with kind of the Open Championship history behind it as well. I think that's going to be must view for any golf fan next year.
Oh my God. Honestly, you could not have made me more excited for next year. I'm just thinking of it just feels like we talked a lot about scale here at Porthcawl. It seems like we're going to have that, maybe the same dynamic next year. I
just a fun mix of not pretty simple holes and some really, really challenging holes. And it's awesome.
It's worth mentioning, this is the wrap for the major season in golf and obviously in women's golf. I think we spend a couple minutes, just a quick look back on what happened this year. Your winners, the Chevron was Mal Saigo in a playoff, kind of that hectic, crazy playoff. I believe it was 4 women in that. The United States Women's Open, Maya Stark kind of came from nowhere that week. I don't think she was among the names that we were thinking, but man, she played great golf. The KPMG Minjee Lee survived the setup, the greens, the conditions there. Evian was bonkers. Grace Kim, of course, absolutely stealing that from Gino. And then here at Porthcawl, Miya Yamashita just slammed the door, got it done. So my question, Soly, I'll start with you. Of those, I suspect this might be an easy answer, but what's maybe the most memorable thing you're going to take from these 5 major championships this year?
I mean, it's not only Grace Kim's finish, but it was officially acknowledging the Evian as a major, and an apology if I was not familiar enough with your game, because that it does create some exciting moments. I know it has been kind of players skipping it and all of this, but as I look back on it, how often we've ended up with really exciting close majors, and Chevron's falling off the way that it has from Mission Hills into Carlton Woods, I think is also what's helped elevate Evian, and that was just an awesome freaking tournament and a memorable finish that I won't forget anytime soon.
Yeah, tough to argue. I think that's probably a unanimous choice. Cody, can I ask you, did you have a disappointment at any of the majors? If we kind of go to the flip side, what will stand out to you, I guess?
Yeah, Chevron stinks. Okay. And the only thing that could make Chevron better is if you had a 5-for-1 playoff for the win, and then everybody plays like a dog on the first.
It was a bad playoff.
What are we doing? There's 5 people and it's just 1 hole.
Yeah.
It's horrible. The broadcast is horrible. Chevron stinks. Okay, that's it. I'm moving on. U.S. Women's Open. I thought Erin Hills was good.
I did too. I thought it was really good.
I like that. Obviously we're huge fans of Maya. Probably a fluke win. Honestly, she has a lot of changes coming up. I know that for a fact, but played her ass off in a place that we all love. Grace Kim and and everything. I'm right there with you guys. I don't know. I think these events, we say this every year, that the AIG Women's Open is our favorite week of the year, but that's just because there's a lot else that goes into it for us. But, there's no bigger disappointment when you look at it now than the Chevron for me. I just don't know what we're supposed to do with it anymore.
Listen, I'm going to fluff this tournament, and I promise nobody's making me say this, but every single player I talked to was raving about how the players are treated in the setup here. Like I think the Open and the US Open are like the cut above. Those are the two tournaments on the calendar. And then, depending on maybe where KPMG goes, Evian, we really want to go. Like it is rising. And then
I'm gonna take I
Chevron
take
a clear fifth.
Randy on a baby moon next year just to do so they Evian.
That would be great.
Sorry, Kat.
Well, let's use this for our ServPro Mulligan, and I'm gonna ask it. If you could grant somebody something a mulligan from these 5 majors this year, Soly, what direction are you going?
You listed a couple options in there, not listed on there. Ari Jutanagarn's chip at the Chevron.
Oh my god, I didn't even remember that.
Green side whiff. Total, all she had to do was hit the ball on the green, and she's going to win that tournament. We didn't have to watch that playoff that Cody hated, that we all hated. Just chip it onto the green. That's all she had to do. Rushed it. It was just the biggest mulligan I can imagine. Honestly, in a women's major, going back to IK Kim missing the 18-inch putt to win the U.S. Women's Open. I mean, it was just an unthinkable error, and I honestly had forgotten all about it until we started writing all this out and revisiting that, and I was thankful for that.
Forgot about it.
I know. That is easily the mulligan of the year.
She gassed that. God, I was thinking more like Ronnie Yin, right? Had that, I think, eagle putt and blew it, 15 feet by, it seemed, missed the birdie. Oh my God. Area. Cody, what would be your mulligan?
I mean, I think maybe it's just recency bias a little bit here, but Evian and how all that played out.
If Gino could make Grace have to hit that chip again, like there's no way. That was 1 in 100, truly.
I think that's just like the shot of the year. The fact that happened, and listening to her and how that played out, how she's like, basically didn't say anything to her caddy. Her caddy didn't say anything back to her. She walked up on the green and figured out where to land it at. They never talked about yardages. They never talked about wedges. He just stood there holding the golf bag. And she's like, "Yep, give me that wedge," and hit her spot. And she's like, "Yeah, that's in." And it went in.
Better make it.
That's incredible. I might use my mulligan. I might give it to the PGA of America. Just like, do you guys want another go at Frisco? The setup, just everything about that tournament was tough.
I don't know. I don't even know if it's a setup thing. I think they need to give them a mulligan for their scheduling.
Everything. What right. That's what I mean.
In June in Texas.
I guess more setup. Like maybe we put a couple more concession stands out there. I don't know. Can we invite some more people out? It just that was tough. So
that's some work to do ahead of 2027, man. That's not going to go over very well at all with anybody if it goes like that again.
No. So if you need something I
can do it. ServPro is the #1 brand in cleanup and restoration and is known for making any mess like it never even happened. Thanks to ServPro, with over 2,200 locations nationwide, they're faster to any size disaster. Visit servpro.com or call 1-800-ServPro today.
What were you gonna say?
I don't know, man. It's been such a long week.
You need something.
We can get you guys out of here soon.
If you need to make something, I don't know where, dude. Best week, but God, you get to the Sunday night of this week, and
I know
I am just ready to pass out.
Randy wants us to grade the top 3 players in the world. I will say this: breaking news.
Let's skip
Nelly on here at the top of the list. Nelly is
I went by world ranking.
Nelly is no longer the #1 player in the world when we wake up tomorrow morning.
Wow.
Gino Titical has surpassed her and will be the #1 world in the Rolex rankings. Of course, that's brought to you by her T30 finish this week. Nelly coming in T36. They're just, stellar performances. But I will say, outside of the cut at the U.S. Women's Open, Gino should have won Evian. She didn't lose it. She got it taken away.
Yeah.
I will say that. Grace firmly ripped it out of her hands. And then played really good at the KPMG. Probably should have gave Minji more run there, but overall good year. And we got a new number one.
Soly, how would you grade Nelly Korda's major year? And just for folks, for reference, she went T14, T2, T19, T43, T36.
C plus. The
Yeah.
T2 is doing a lot of work there. I mean, she kind of was not really a factor in anything else, and wasn't really even a factor that much in that one. I never felt like she was going to win that one, which again is an unfair, level to hold somebody. But this was a step back year for Nelly in major championships compared to last year.
Really curious the rest of the year for her, whether she can win, what it looks like, honestly, from now till the Tour Championship.
What fascinates me real quick before we move off of it is really how fast Gino has taken that number one spot away from Nelly by only winning it a couple times after Nelly's crazy year last year. I think that just shows how consistently in the top 5 and the top 10 in every single tournament that Gino tees up in that she is.
Yeah.
And Nelly either, she's cold. I think a C plus is for her majors this year is very generous. It's a disappointment all around so far, and there's rightfully a lot of golf left this year, but no wins on the season for somebody who we saw a bunch from last year. Like she doesn't really have it right now.
No.
And you can look at the putting and say, oh, her putting numbers are better, but she's not making the putts when she needs them most.
That's God. Couldn't say it better myself. Yeah. Well, let's wrap the week, Cody. I think it's obviously been a long week. We've mentioned it's our favorite week of the year. No hyperbole. The work that we are allowed to do, that we get to do with the Open Radio crew is, I mean, it's such a privilege, and more so the people that we get to work with. It's just the best crew to come in and get to spend a week with. They are so uplifting of each other. They have a great time. I don't know. I'm going to get a little sappy here. Like it just, I'm sorry when we have to go back home and this week is over.
Yeah, it goes by so fast too. Funny sitting here on Sunday night because on like Friday morning after waking up pretty early and like, wow, I got to go walk 36 holes today and do this again. It's a long week. It's such a fulfilling week though, and we give them shout outs a lot. We did this last year, St. Andrews, and the year before, but Tebby, who runs everything, and his second in command, Ollie, they're so good. The rest of the people on the production team, and then really the people that we get so used to hearing call open radio, which we're all huge fans of open radio. We get to do that with them. I mean, the great Ian Carter and Kat Downs.
They're so good. They're so
BBT.
good at what they do. I mean, all these people are, I feel like such an imposter.
No, you guys, I would think you guys would sound like imposters, but you sound concerningly good when we listen to you on the radio. Honestly, I would expect more goof ups, more errors, more silliness, and you guys are remarkably professional. I want to hear you mess up more often.
I leave every year. I'm like, damn, Cody, have you been secretly working 10 to 12 tournaments, calling golf out on the course? Truly, I'm not just fluffing you. I'm flabbergasted by how naturally it comes to you. It's really good.
Well, thank you. But I'm going to run down the leaderboard real quick of everybody. So I already mentioned Ian Cat. We got, of course, the lovely Sophie Walker. I think you might have heard her as well. She was pulling double shifts, Solly. She did radio in the mornings and she was doing Golf Channel in the afternoon. So, she's a huge fan. Come on. We love her. She's come on the program a couple times and will more in the future. Richard Kaufman, who we heard last week at Scotland at the Scottish Open there. He usually does a ton of TV. He was over on the radio team. Flick, who's an LET player.
Felicity Johnson. I'm always like, should we just call her? Everybody calls her Flick.
Now, not playing full time anymore, but she's like a legit rules official. So she's one of the prime rules officials on the LET, and we're going to see a lot more from her. Sue, Marcus, Marcus remains the GOAT.
I
Like,
love Marcus.
The best. Michelle, Allison, and then everybody else in the back of the trailer.
I feel like we need to shout them out.
I know, for
because
sure.
I'm in awe of the work they do. I think they have some social content of just how the radio production works, but between the actual production, the audio, so Jack, Joe, Al, Karen, Colin, Rick, Abby, like watching them work, and it's such a high frenzied, high stress environment. They're trying to patch in sounds from all over the golf course. It really is amazing. They make us sound good.
Yes, it's truly mind-blowing, but we love it. I absolutely love this week. It's incredible that we get the opportunity to do it and you know, call golf for the best damn women in the world at a major championship that means so much. Like, I literally walked up the 18th hole with the leader today, and I was like, holy shit, like, what a world, man. This is sweet.
Yeah. Do we need to tell the story though of
For
poor
sure.
Allison Nicholas,
For sure.
who, by the way, 1997 U.S. Open winner. She won the Open before it was considered a major.
Weetabix.
So early, I think it was Thursday and Friday, she kept saying, and Soly, I want your reaction when you hear this, but on the radio, you know, BBC, going out all across England, whatever, she was saying, so-and-so really nutted that drive. So-and-so nutted that one. What? They had no idea. When Cody finally said, he was like, you guys know that kind of means something different, at least in the States, right? To see the look on poor Allison Nicholas's face when she realized what that means for perhaps folks listening in the States on, I think it was going out over Sirius XM. Oh my God. They were dying laughing. That was probably the moment of the week, I think, amongst the radio team.
But I guess the term would be more in line with like hit it on the screws. Like,
exactly. Sure. And that's obviously how she meant it. But yeah. I
think that's a pass. I wouldn't have thought anything of it now that you pointed out, maybe I would, but I wouldn't have thought anything of it having heard that on the radio.
Well, she was a bit mortified, but then she took it in great spirit.
There was another one today, I thought too.
Oh, she snuck in Pocket Rocket talking about Miyu. And again, I'm like, God, you could take that a different way, I feel like, but it is apt for Miyu. She is diminutive. I mean, she's under 5 foot. That's amazing. That's
under
crazy.
5 foot, and I'll give it to her. A 2-time major champion that's just like out there cutting it up with us. And
Allison,
yeah, like just incredible. But favorite week of the year, can't wait already for next year. I think we got a very deserving champion here as we get ready to leave Wales. What'd you think of Wales?
Wales was great. I had a great time in Wales. It was I like culturally, to be honest, I don't know if we got to see as much to like really differentiate it from other places we go, but the golf was great. Porthcawl, you and I got to go down to Pinard. Shout out our buddy Ian, showed us around there.
Awesome.
Fun little links course. I'll just say, I think every single person we met, not only at the golf course, but I'm thinking of like dinners, like just wonderful people. So big fan of Wales.
Speaking of dinners, Randy, of course, wanted to sample the local fare. So we checked out a Five Guys. There was a KFC night. And we ate at the local
and we got
pub.
some steaks, which I know you can't get steaks in Texas, Cody. So
hard work and press, man. You don't get to the working hours have you guys had dinner tonight? It's 9:40.
No, we got to go get to dinner, Soly.
Okay, let's get you out of here. If
you'll dismiss us, I know you and DJ here are gonna talk Wyndham and put a bow on that. So,
God, I hope he brings it home.
Cody's guy, as we're recording this, has a 9-shot lead with 5 holes remaining, and Cody is still sweating the result here. I think he's going to be fine. And I'm guessing this next part you're going to hear is myself and Deej recapping his triumphant first victory. But congratulations to you guys on a fantastic week. We greatly enjoy and appreciate you guys representing us over there, and you guys do such an awesome job, and we know you love it. But I'm always envious of this week. I'm ready to get out of Florida in the summer, and you guys seem to have such a great time with
next year.
Maybe next year. So thank you guys. You are dismissed, and have a great evening.
Cheers.
All right, as mentioned, welcoming into the show for the Wyndham Championship recap portion, Mr. DJ Pie. Hello, Pie Man. How are you?
Hello, Soly. Great to be with you to talk about the Wyndham Championship and I'm sure a couple other things. I'm sure we're going to get to all kinds of other things in the world of men's pro golf.
We've got a couple news and notes to get to, kind of some downstream effect of what we just witnessed at the Wyndham, which is what happened at the Wyndham.
Cameron Young is a PGA Tour winner. We are living in a world where Cameron Young is a PGA Tour champion, which I think is a better world to live in. I don't know who would be against that. I think everybody, long time coming now in his 94th start. They mentioned it many times on the broadcast. 7 runners up in that stretch, and
I
a
thought you were
little
going
bit
to
of
say they mentioned many times that he's the 1,000th PGA
they
Tour
did
winner,
like that stat too.
dating back to Prestwick, the
Yeah.
first Open Championship. So
Those are the Dean Beeman years, I think. Back in
Dude, I was just going to go for that one. I was like, I don't think that was a Fincham year.
Yeah, Cameron Young was your winner. Took a 5-shot lead into the final round. Ended up winning by 6 over Mac Meisner. So not a ton of drama. I would say honestly, not an ounce of drama at the Wyndham Championship. Sometimes life be like that, but still a lot to watch with who gets into the playoffs, who doesn't get into the playoffs. Jackson Koiven making a run. Nico Echeverria was there, and then he was very much not there. So kind of a fun a fun kind of game within the game, I think, at the Wyndham Championship. But the headline that we need to start with is Cameron Young is a PGA Tour winner. I don't think this is going to shock anybody. I know he kind of had his trials and tribulations, some very serious putting woes. And Solly, let me just go ahead and tell you, the putting woes are over. Our guy is rolling the rock. He ended up, I think he came into this week top 10 on the PGA Tour in strokes gained putting. Absolutely blew the field away in strokes gained putting this week on the way to this victory. It honestly, the numbers were even much gaudier before a couple 3 putts to kind of close it out when he had like an 8-shot lead. So take that for what you will. But it was a dominant performance on the greens, as it kind of has been for him, at least compared to his former self, all of this year.
I mean, you go back, you can just look at it. If you go back to the Masters, which he missed the cut this past year, he lost almost 2 shots around in the Masters. He's just green. He was down at the Open Championships, which, as we know, can be kind of a weird putting week as it is. But yeah, Cameron Young weaponized putter was not something I thought we were going to be discussing in 2025, because he was a ball striker when he ascended towards the top of the game. If you remember, he got as high as 13th in the official World Golf Rankings. He got
honestly felt like higher.
He got as high as 7th in the data golf
okay,
rankings.
That makes me feel better.
In April of 2023, he was long, he was accurate, relatively speaking, and it has been the accuracy off the tee that's taken him down a peg, and the approach play has come down a huge peg. But now, yeah, he's gaining half a shot around on the greens, which is again, if he hits the ball anything like he did this week and rolls it like that, he's back to being a top 10 player in the world faster than we could have imagined. I mentioned it: 7 runner-ups, 2 third places, 12 top 5s, and 22 top 10s. Also of note, Deej, I hope I'm not stepping on any of your stats. Top 5s in every major except the Masters, where he has a T7 and he's finished in the top 10 in 2 of his 4 starts in that event.
It's gaudy, man.
Yeah.
I put a couple percentages on it just to try to contextualize it. He's made almost 80% of his cuts. Like, I know he feels like this big feast or famine type of guy. About 80% of the time he makes the cut, 40% of the time he finishes in the top 20, top 25, and 25% of the time he's finished in the top 10. Like, it's been really, really, really good golf. And I know it's taken a dip kind of back half of last year and a little bit early part of this year, but it's good to see it. It's good to see it clicking, man. And it's I don't know. We're going to get into kind of some of the downstream effects and what does this mean and how many wins and Ryder Cup and all of that stuff. But I think you can't win, you can't win 10 times till you win the first one. And so it's been very fun to see him break through.
You wanted to talk Ryder Cup. I didn't want to talk about it, but you're making me address it here tonight. But sleeping on a 5-shot lead is kind of that danger zone of that lead you don't really want to sleep on. Bogeyed the first hole and then just reeled off 5 straight birdies, and it was I kept waiting for the lead to get to 10. I don't think it ever officially got to 10. I missed it if it did, because I was on the
saw
pod,
9 for a sec, but I think that was it.
9 shot. I mean, just what is everybody else doing here? Like, this is led the field in putting, as you mentioned, and it was even better than it felt better than it ended up being on the way. So
I think
I'm going to get straight to the Ryder Cup stuff.
No. Give me one more second. I think on the runners up, because, 7 is a lot, and I think you could gloss him, "Oh my god, this guy he can't get the big hit. Guy can't win the big one," etcetera. It's
Runners
not
in
like
scoring position,
yeah.
not solid.
It hasn't I don't think he's really gotten his doors blown off in that position very often. Some of them I think have been a little backdoor. Some of them have just been, got beat by somebody playing really, really well. But, I today was a good test, 5-shot lead, and, like, let's see, does he let the moment get too big? Does he start moving too fast? It's a golf course where people can go crazy low and can spook you a little bit coming from behind. But, I mean, it's not like, I don't know. I wasn't really expecting him to kind of come in and spit the bit, and I don't know that he's had these like big Sunday scaries that would maybe go along with someone that has that profile. I think he's just been playing really good golf and has gotten beat by guys more often than not. And I don't know if that tracks with your impression of it.
Yes and no. I just pulled up, of course, the great pressure tool on data golf, which, listen, that's the merging of the eye test and the data right here,
Yeah.
right? It's not passing the eye test on the Sundays. Well, let's look at the data. And he has been, when he enters the final round in the top 5, he has a scoring average over 70 in 19. He's had 19 chances at that. And scoring average over 70, over a shot lower than he does in normal rounds of golf. So reason to say he's had some final round struggles, and there's been some opportunities he's had get away going into how you would expect the final round to go. You would expect him to have over 3 wins to this point. He has 2. It counts Corn Ferry in this as well. So he's let at least 1 win in total get away by kind of playing poor final rounds in previous chances he's had. But
Which I guess my point is it's not the same as letting 7 get away. It's not like those 7 runners up. It's not like he came in with a 3-shot lead and blew them all. It's been a lot of it's been a mix of different stuff, and much like your guy Big Tone, get half the battle is putting yourself in the situation. And so it's fun to see him slam the door today.
to your point, we can look at each of those runner-ups individually. He had an unbelievably good final round at the Open Championship. Ever heard of it? To go from T3 to second.
God,
Really good.
What a drive on 18.
Really good final round at last year's Valspar. Had a solid whatever one at Sanderson Farms. Kind of not so good at Genesis in 2022. Bad at Rocket Mortgage 2022. And another bad one, on the Corn Ferry Tour as well. So
What did you have a kind of like a comp for him? I was thinking about guys, who took a while to break through. I was doing all this research. I shout out to the tour. They rolled out a new stats tool this week, which was really helpful. You can kind of export a lot of guys' careers and manipulate the data in some fun ways and stuff. And so the CBS crew, they stepped on my toes. I was all fired up because I was like, oh my God, this is a 94th start. David Duval, 93rd start. This is so great. They also had 7 runner-up finishes when he broke through, also played in the ACC. This is going to be my big point today. And then, of course, as they mentioned, not only did Duval win that first one, he then won 3 in a row. And I think it was over the next 33 starts, he had another 10 wins in addition to that first one. So that's kind of one of those. It's like, it can't be said enough. Like, that's one of the greatest heaters ever that we should be bringing up at any chance that we get. And B, I'm like, okay, I don't think it's going to be quite like that. I did have another comp, if you'll allow me.
please.
A guy who was also a rookie of the year, much like Cameron Young. He won his first event, I believe, in his 74th start instead of 94th. And he didn't win again for quite a while. He only had 1 win in his first 143 starts. He had 4 runners up before his first win, and he had already played on a Team USA as well before winning. You have any idea who I am talking about?
What kind of time frame we talking?
He was the 2010 Rookie of the Year.
Ricardo Flower?
Ricky Fowler.
Yeah.
Ricky Fowler. And I don't know. I know it's not really the same tools package, but and
That's
it's
interesting.
not exactly the same hype package. And I know a lot of Ricky's early success wasn't totally in the majors. It was a lot of other events, but I don't know. That's kind of where my mind went early as kind of a somewhat of a comp. Ricky's gone on to win 6 times, 7 times since then. So I don't know. But let me actually put it there. I think Ricky's won 6 times. Are you, as a career for Cameron Young, you thinking more than that? You thinking less than that?
I'm not going to get caught up in the moment. And I think if this was like a ball striking it was a good ball striking week. It was just a crazy good putting week. I think I'd feel different about projecting it to be higher. Like, I don't know how hot that. I wish I knew the answer to this. Has he made wide sweeping changes in his putting? Has he truly found
You
something,
know
or is
what?
this
I
a really
looked
good run? I
really
looked
hard
as
trying to
well.
find
Yeah.
some stuff, and that's, of course, listen, that's why you got to go to the tournaments and ask these questions yourself. I
I'm
understand
sure
that,
there's going to be something in the
but I hope
presser
someone digs into
tonight.
that
Yeah.
because it's very
Yeah.
interesting.
We're recording this before his presser is out, unfortunately, but there's probably something in there. But no, I think that's a lot of wins. It took my guy Big Tone a long time to make it that
He
that
thinks so,
far.
and that's part of it, I think.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that.
Another comp I had was Max. Similar, similar age. I think Max was about that same, like 28 and a half years old when he won his first one. That was his 69th start and went on to win, I think, 6 times. And I think it was 91 starts after that. So rough, almost 100 starts. He won 6 times. Uh, I don't know. Again, that's the same Ricky number, but it feels that was an interesting one.
But it is interesting too how the modern PGA Tour works, and that he's kind of launched himself into the signature event cycle
Totally.
relatively quickly, and you're playing against not only playing against the best fields, but a lot of your starts, 15 or so of your starts are against Scotty and a lot of other guys all at the same time. Like, you're not playing that many Wyndhams throughout the course of a year. So, like, bagging a victory, as we've seen with our guy Tommy, can be it can be difficult when it's just like, again, I hate to boil everything down to a math equation, but that's just the math. Like, you put 10 of the top 11 players in the world that are usually in these
Well,
fields, like, it's a lot
if
harder to
Scotty's
win
going to
than
win them all, then it's hard for
right. That
anybody
doesn't
else
help
to
either.
win them. Yeah.
Mac Meisner, just not as hard to beat as Scotty Scheffler. I'm sorry to say it, but so that's an interesting kind of dynamic that is, I don't know, maybe changes the way we kind of dole out victories. It's not going to stop us from getting carried away, but maybe it should.
No, it's a good point. It's a really good point. And that I mean, I think that brings me to my last comp, which was the fellow Wake Forest guy, Zalatoris. And I know he's got
Yeah.
injuries and stuff, but it's a similar thing. I think his first win was start number 56. And he had 4 runners up, 3 of those were at majors. So again, that's kind of a little bit more of the profile that we're talking about. And again, he's had plenty of like hardships to quell that win number 2. But yeah, there's a reason why they don't just stack up like crazy when you're playing nothing but really big events.
Bear with me on this one. I would say the guys like Zalatoris and Cameron Young, huge expected weighted on base averages. Just the batted ball luck has not been there.
Yeah.
Whereas, like, Nick Taylor, look, he might not be hitting the ball as hard, but
Play Brewers baseball, man.
no, he's playing Brewers baseball. Those bloops are finding gaps at all the right times. So that'd be the way I'd compare them. Is like, who do I think? Like, do I think Zalatoris and Cameron Young are bigger talents than someone like Nick Taylor? Yes. Have they gotten the results that 5-win Nick Taylor has? No. It's maybe a little unfair to Nick Taylor. He gotten the wins. Like, that means something. But again, projecting out going forward, whose tools do I like more? I'd take the other two guys if Zalatoris is going to be healthy.
Baseball Savant is loving Cameron
A
Young.
lot of red on Baseball
Loud
Savant
tools,
there.
as our guy Randy would say.
Where do you want to go next? Do you want to get our money right? Do you want to take this straight into the Ryder Cup chat?
Let's just do it. Yeah, let's do it. I want to show some humility here, okay?
Wow.
So don't make me regret that.
Okay.
I think we need to have a pretty serious conversation here about a Cameron Young that is absolutely filling up the jug with the putter. A guy who said Bethpage is one of his favorite golf courses on planet Earth, who won, of course, the New York State Open in record fashion at this golf course. Going to have even more hometown support than our guy Keegan potentially. I don't know, man. We're starting to get into that territory. If you are Team USA, a lot of the things that I was saying maybe in February, March, April, worrying about that bottom 6, worrying about that bottom 3, bottom 2. I'm getting less and less and less worried as this is taking shape, and I think there's going to be some pretty hardcore decisions that need to be made by El Capitan as far as who to leave off. I'm not saying this one win gets Cameron Young onto the team, but man, a Cam Young that's beaten down the door is going to be very loud and very, very hard to leave off, and it's going to make taking yourself as a playing captain based on winning at the Travelers and then missing a bunch of cuts and not playing very good golf look very bad. And so as someone who roots for the content, which I think is how all of this started in the first place, very funny situation for Team USA to find itself in. Very funny. Very, very funny.
Avoidable? Would you say it was an avoidable situation?
Totally. That's kind of what I was trying to talk you into a long time ago, is like, okay, well, maybe this isn't the right situation. If Keegan's like even in the conversation, maybe we should just anyways, we don't have to relitigate that. But what say you? Because I think we've got our top 6 right now: Scotty, Xander, JJ Spawn, Russell Henley, Bryson DeChambeau, Harris English. This has not been updated yet, but none of that will change, obviously. And then our next 6 are JT Morikawa, Ben Griffin, Keegan Bradley, Mav McNeely, Brian Harmon. That's our 12 right there. That leaves Andrew Novak, Patrick Cantlay, Sam Burns, Wyndham Clark, Lucas Glover, Daniel Berger, Cam Young, Chris Gotterup, all on the outside looking in as far as the rankings go. So what did you see today from Cameron Young? Are you breaking, are you pushing it any farther than my controversial stance of like the guy who smashes the ball and is making all the putts could be a good team fit? Are you going to go any more concrete than that, or where are you at?
One that took great humility to come back to the table in the way you have, first of all, and I appreciate that. And I will not be spiking the football at this current moment, but I want to again just going back to what I think Team USA should be doing. Should be taking the 12 guys that you think are going to give you the best chance to win. People think I say I just want my guys there. If you're my guy, that means I think you're one of the 12 guys that gives you the best chance to win, right? You can look at past data to show you all kinds of things, but does that mean you're going to play great? No, it doesn't. Can that give you an indication of who's played the best golf? Like, I think we can get caught up saying so-and-so is so hot. Ben Griffin's so hot. He's way better candidate than Spieth. Well, okay, he should have better strokes gain numbers than Spieth if that's the case. And that's not always the case. That's why I always bring the strokes gain stuff into it. So I'll go back to what Keegan said after he won Travelers, like winning this changes things. And I said at the time, it absolutely should not. Like, if Tommy steps up and hits a pitching wedge to a foot on 18, that shouldn't decide your Ryder Cup fate, obviously. Like, it should come down to how well does it project out that you will play, and how do you fit into the team, and how that will play out. That should determine your candidacy for the team. Again, my stance has been, hey, you are the captain. Like, having to decide between yourself and 7 other guys maybe that are playing really good golf, probably just best to remove yourself from that spot. And it looked pretty easy. If you knock the door down and make it on points, sure, go ahead and play. But if you're going to have to make this now decision where he's not his best finish since he won is a T30 and he missed the cut this week, I always go to wonder, like, all right, if that week changed everything, you played great golf that week, but more recently you missed a cut, why would I value the week farther away more than this one? That's a little simplistic view of it, but that's why that first week should not have changed. That winning week should not have changed things in the beginning. So to keep that consistency, I don't think one win for Cameron Young changes all of that. I think if Cameron Young sprints through the finish of the playoffs, that's a different. And we only have 2 playoff events before they make the final call. I think if he top 10s in these next 2, I'm going to be beaten down. I'm going to be probably calling for him to be a part of that team, and I think a lot of people will. And if he beats Keegan again the next couple of weeks and Keegan takes himself over him in that spot, pretty difficult spot to be in, man. That I just don't think we need to be making that decision coming down to the wire.
Better make some putts.
You better
make some putts, man.
Or just worry about captaining is again where I've always been. So I keep like trying to make people like say the name of who you're leaving off of this list right now, which is, and you were going off top 6 in the Ryder Cup points, right? So assuming those 6 are locked in, if I just name 7 guys, I name JT, I name Morikawa, I name Ben Griffin, who finished T11 this week as well. We have now Keegan, we have Cantlay still out there, we have Gotterup, and we have Cameron Young. Like, that's 7 names right there. So you're leaving one of those at home right now. And I haven't even mentioned Spieth, who again would be the 12th best American over the last 6 months as well, and has a lot of Ryder Cup experience and is viewed as part of the core of that. So that's 8. So you got to leave 2 of those names at home. For a lot of people, that answer is going to be Spieth. Again, I'm not even going to we're getting pretty late in the game for Spieth. I would have thought the play would be better to this point where he would have knocked down the door to make it obvious he should be on the team. I'm still kind of on the fence on that one. And I think there's probably 6 better names as it currently stands, but
I think every putt that Cameron Young makes is a bad thing for Jordan Spieth. It's kind of how I felt watching today. It's like it's getting harder and harder to
I agree.
justify it.
And again, so leave Spieth out of this part because we still are at 7 with Spieth involved there. And like the Cantlay and the Morikawa situation gets pretty interesting. Did I even say Cantlay? I don't even know if I said Cantlay in there. I think Cantlay makes it 8, doesn't it? JT, Morikawa, Griffin, Keegan, Cantlay. Okay, maybe he wasn't there. Goddard, Cameron Young. That's 7.
Which also doesn't include Sam Burns. Also doesn't
Correct.
include Wyndham Clark, who's playing better golf. Mav McNeely, who's like quietly been still really good and feels like a consistent, safe choice with a high floor. Yeah, man, I know. What did Goddard didn't play this week, right?
He did not play this week.
Interesting playoffs for him coming up here. I know, like, he was the links master, but then kind of backed it up again. It's just it's getting fun. It's getting really fun right now.
If you're trying to win or just for content?
No, just purely for content.
Okay.
Purely for content. Yeah, I feel like I've all the cynicism and everything. I may have lost any kind of rooting interest for this, other than just
I'm getting close,
the content.
honestly.
Do you have a gut feel right now of who you're leaving off in that list?
Who I'm leaving off or who I think they will leave off?
Both, if they're different.
I'm worried it's one of Goddard or Griffin, which Ben Griffin's got me sold. I don't know if you listened to the pod from him this past week.
So fun.
And he's backing it up. Like, he truly believes he's one of the best players in the world. I'm not one to argue with him at this point. It's hasn't blown the doors off of, and he's just been really, really solid. And I think would make up a good part of the bottom part of this team. Goddard again. I don't know. I kind of challenged him, like, prove it at TPC Twin Cities, and he did. And I think the Goddard thing might work itself out in the next couple of weeks. I think if he has 2 top 15 finishes, he's going to be there. I think they would not be able to keep him off.
Man, it's fun, man. That's really fun stuff. And then, I mean, of course, I just feel like that FedEx, like, who knows what'll happen with Spieth, but that just feels like a weird golf course where he could go shoot 61 or something in the first round, and it's like that, win a bunch of hearts and minds. It's just it's gonna be really hard. And to your point, and I fully understand what you're saying. It's getting to the point where you're starting to get enough guys above the threshold where picking yourself is tough. It's tough, man.
God, I thought this would feel so much better than it does. But part of the reason why I was like, I think Spieth is better than 50% chance to make this team as well was like, yeah, I mean, the names you guys were pounding me with, like Andrew Novak several months ago. I was like, yeah, I just think Spieth's going to outplay Andrew Novak the rest of the year.
In the rankings. I know he missed the cut this week, but again, if I was captaining, I think we're going for heart. We're picking Novak, but that's neither here nor there.
If I could have 12 Andrew Novaks on the team, we'd go win at Bethpage. But no, I think it's getting harder and harder for Spieth. I think it's going to take a pretty big miracle, honestly, for him, unless we're talking about leaving one of Morikawa and Cantlay off.
I mean, Cantlay's interesting. I'm kind of surprised he didn't play this week. I guess maybe he's just getting ready for a big stretch to try to cement it in the playoffs, and has typically played really well in those types of events. So I don't know. It's man, I just don't know how Cantlay's been your best player for the last
5-2.
Yeah,
5-2-1 in Ryder Cups. Yeah.
I love the idea of leaving him off. I love the the concept of that, but like, God, dude, I don't know how you could do that. That's borderline kind of ridiculous, right?
I know. I get the call for fresh blood, and I get the call for, like, tear down the boys club. Again, I still don't know what that means, but like Spieth and JT were both not on the most recent US team, which was a President's Cup team. Like, this alleged boys, neither of those guys Spieth was out with surgery, but JT did not get picked for the President's Cup team last year. Like, I struggle with the boys club related stuff, but I guess new blood for the sake of new blood, even if they're not playing better golf than some of these big names, would not be where my head turns. But I mean, the Cantlay and Morikawa stuff is interesting because they're both kind of trending the wrong direction. The Morikawa drop off has been more severe than the Cantlay drop off, which has not been very severe. He just has not been one of the 12 best Americans over the last 3 months or so. But it's also getting to that point where, like, I don't know if you want to let the status of your team ride so much on these next few weeks.
For
Like, I
sure.
hope the picture is bigger than just like,
Yeah.
how hot were you? Because we're again still these next couple weeks are still going to be over a month out from the tournament. So you got to still project out like, hey, who do I think is going to be my dog in New York in late September? That's where I'm like, one hot week from Cameron Young doesn't quite get me there. And it's still an uphill battle over these next couple of weeks.
Sure. I don't know that it's been one hot week. I mean, I know he hasn't played great in like late June, July, but
Nobody has talked about him for this team until this week. Is my overall
at
point.
least at Oakmont for sure. Like top 5 at Oakmont helped, I think, at
Yeah.
least kind of reignite the conversation. But I think what's really hard about this conversation, and you could take it either way. You can either give Team USA no benefit of the doubt, which is probably closer to where I land, or you can give them all the benefit of the doubt. And it's either like the thing we love about Europe, and we say this eventually, the conversation always comes around to this, is maybe they're just better at talking about it, but they'll come on podcasts and they'll say, we had this pairing dialed in April. We had this pairing dialed in June. These guys have been secretly training together in, our private facility for months. These guys are secretly childhood best friends. That's why we put them together.
We sent them to Macau together
Yes.
with their wives to get to know each other better.
Exactly.
Yes.
I don't God, none of that. If the US is doing all that stuff, none of it's leaking out. And the more that Keegan is kind of like, barreling down trying to play really good golf, which again, I don't fault him at all. Like he's in one of the better stretches of his career. He's trying to maximize what he can do on the golf course, and he's trying really hard to make the team, on merit. He's trying to win tournaments and stack up a bunch of money. So I don't totally blame him. Like he's in a very different position than Luke Donald is in. But even considering that, it still feels like Luke Donald is delegating all kinds of stuff to all kinds of people to make all of these other things happen. And that's why I think when we start to roll our eyes at like the duties of the captain, you have no idea what the demands are. It's like I don't get this huge sense that there's a lot going on behind the scenes on that front. And if there is, then it's almost like every one of those things that's happening is another tick in the column of like
Just print off the standings and go send
right.
your boys out.
It's like I don't know. So that's why that's a very long-winded way of saying that part of me would almost feel better if they were like, I don't care what happens the next 3 weeks.
Here's the team.
We think these are the best pairings. We think these are the people who are going to gel the best. We think these are the best course fit. We think all of these things, and like we're just going to lock it in because we have a plan and we're going to go with it. And it kind of maybe that's happening. And again, I do not know. Pick whichever you want to be, an optimist or pessimist. I think I'm going to lean towards pessimist, and they're
Me too.
truly going to wait until the uniform fitting deadline to decide who it is, and they're gonna be like, that guy fucking birdied 18, man. You gotta have him. You gotta have him.
I feel the exact same way, Deej. I feel like, again, if I was tracing all of this madness back for me with this event, it goes back to like 2014 and Task Force and like the idea of unlocking what Europe does. I think my moving to Europe tweet said, hey, I'm headed to Europe for 18 months to go learn the European Ryder Cup ways. I think I literally said that because it was like, I'm so curious to see if these talented American group can understand that this team event is different than how they're doing it. And like 10 years later from that, more than that, I don't feel like it's changed in some ways, but I don't think it's changed from a macro perspective of like, we get it now. How could you believe that after what happened with Zach Johnson? Like it completely, whatever it felt like they had figured out in 2021, it seemed like they punted right back in 2023. They're going to try something new this time. It's zany. It's a current player. And now he might pick himself is all just got me like, I less enthusiastic about their chances to win, or less enthusiastic about me caring if they win or not. Like I think I'm going to be more likely to just be entertained by the event overall than I am like gung ho about their chances of winning. Because again, all of this Ryder Cup content we do could also just be like, yeah, the home team wins every time. Also, it doesn't really matter. So
Possible. It's possible. Man.
I don't know. It's going to be so. Right now, do you think Keegan's going to pick himself?
Gosh. It's so hard not to be like prisoner of the moment. But again, go back to those. What was it? 4 for 3 spots, essentially. Is that what you're saying? It was Keegan, Cantlay, Goddard, and Cameron Young. Maybe that was 2 spots. I forget.
You have to cut one. You just have to cut. Yeah.
He had to cut 2, I think, of those 4, essentially. Like, I don't see how he ends up being in on that. If that really becomes a 4 for 2 between Cantlay, Keegan, Goddard, and Cameron Young, and I had to bet money on it, I would be shocked if he's one of the 2 that are in on that group. Does that mean like he might have already decided, and like going back to everything I just said over the last 5 minutes, maybe he's like super tight with Scotty Scheffler now, and Scotty's like, we're going to play together every round and we have a plan and we're going to go for it. I'll put the team on my back. Let's do it. I'll only play for you, Coach Bradley. Maybe that's going on behind the scenes, but in the absence of the absence of that, I don't see how that can, I don't know how that can happen. And I think he ends up looking like a hero if he passes on himself too, you know, like, I don't know. Imagine he passes on Chris Goddard and he's out there just waving his pin flags around and hyping everybody up, and his gold chains flying all over the place. And he's driving at 400 yards and making like, it looked like a genius. So it's the ultimate spot, man. It's really interesting. I cannot wait to see what happens.
And if he doesn't pick himself and it goes wrong, he's now put himself in a very avoidable spot of like, just everyone's going to be screaming how he should have picked himself, and that would have saved everything. Just like JT should have never been picked in Rome, even though the U.S. was down 4-0 before he got a chance to hit a golf ball. Yeah, it's interesting. I think he's already decided to pick himself. I think that was clear when they changed the captain's agreement, and it was clear by his comments after Travelers. And I think right now he's got to be sitting there saying, "Oh shit, I don't know now."
Maybe I read that much more as like, it's a pure just in case. Like, this is we're leaving the option open rather than like we're absolutely doing this. But who knows?
Yeah, we shall see. We want to give a shout out to our friends at SoFi, the ultimate finance app, for sponsoring today's SoFi Get Your Money Right moment. You can go to SoFi.com/NLU to learn more about how you can get your money right with SoFi Plus. And if you want to nominate somebody for the next Get Your Money Right moment, let us know in the comments. DJ, who got their money right? I have no idea what you're going to come up with here today.
Yeah, you know what? We're going to go with a deep pull. We could a lot of directions that we could go with it. We could go with Mac Meisner, great finish, you know. Second place for him. A big check. Got to be the biggest of the year for him.
$893,800 to be exact.
Congratulations. But actually, we're going to go back to last year's Wyndham. We're going to zoom out, you know, just like you're checking your financial statements. You know, you don't want to just look at kind of like the day of. Let's zoom out. How have we been doing over the last 12 months? You know, how's the portfolio performing? And I want to go back to the Wyndham last year. And this player that I'm talking about entered last year's Wyndham Championship number 127 in the FedEx Cup. And there's a little bit of romanticism that I'm going at here. I still tend to fall back on the days where, like, if you don't finish top 125 at Wyndham, you're out of a job. Obviously, that's not really how it works anymore. They got the FedEx Cup fall. You're kind of just playing to get your way into the playoffs, but neither here nor there.
I may say that juice was missed this week.
I agree.
I
agree. But this player entered last year's Wyndham number 127 in the FedEx Cup. So essentially on the outside looking in, it's not going great. He ended up finishing T3 at the Wyndham, the last event before the playoffs, which got him to 98th in the FedEx Cup. So didn't make the playoffs, but got himself to a good spot going into the FedEx Cup fall. He was 96th after the FedEx Cup fall, thanks to that big finish. So he was not in the signature events going into this year. He was not into any of the majors, I don't think, except for the PGA, thanks to his world ranking and his spot. But because he was in the top 125, he was into the Players, where, as you may be piecing together, he finished solo second, losing in a playoff. That bumped his world ranking up to number 125. Let me check here. Going into starting the year, he started the year at the Sony Open because he was not into Kapalua, the first signature event. He was 115th in the world. Played really well at Sony to kind of ratchet up and get into Pebble, kind of a swing 5, next 10, whatever sort of situation. Like I mentioned, he got into the Players, finished solo second. That rocketed him up to number 25 in the world, which got him into the Masters, and more importantly, got him into the U.S. Open, which he won. Of course, we're talking about JJ Spawn, who has this year on the golf course made $10.1 million plus what I believe is going to be a $2.4 million bonus for the Comcast Business Tour Top 10, where he's number 8. And I was just kind of compiling, like, here's money I think that he just kind of got in the cash machine and hoovered up just due to like events that, you know, he kind of got into after this Wyndham finish. Pebble, he won 100 grand there. Genesis, he won 100 grand there. Bay Hill, he got into 125 grand. Masters, he won 52 grand. Heritage, he won 65. Truist, forgot about that one. He won 270 grand there. US Open, 4 million. Might want to hang on to that one. Travelers, I forgot about that. He won 360 grand at the Travelers. And then the Open, which of course got into after all of this as well, 138 grand. So that's $5.5 million just at events that he like definitely wasn't going to be into without some serious play. Also played well at Sony. What did he finish? T3, I believe, at Sony as well. And T2 at the Cognizant. So even before that Players finish, like he did set himself up well. He was going to have a nice year, but because he got into that Players on the back of, you know, his performance in the fall, that's really what rocketed him up and got him into all of these other fields, particularly the US Open. Didn't have to qualify, didn't have to do any of that stuff, and ended up winning his first major. So how's that? I think that's a good linear. Let's trace it back to the Wyndham Championship. Shout out to JJ Spawn, just hoovering up all the money. Good for him.
And also going to be on the Ryder Cup because of all
Yes.
that as well.
How about that?
It was outside the top 125 going to, I did not know that. I thought you were going with Ben Griffin originally with that, but
I thought about him. He got a look. I think he got into this year. I forget what he was, 63rd or something like that coming into this year. I'd have to check that, but we were joking beforehand. I was really looking for, I went back quite a ways. I was really looking for this like great story at the Wyndham Championship. Like, man, this guy he was number whatever, and he got to number 101 at the Wyndham, and he saved his job. And then the next year he won 3 times. And like that just doesn't happen, man. It's a lot of like, yeah, that guy kept his card and then he finished 92nd the next year. And like, what a story, you know, which I know is much more of how pro golf is than the JJ Spawn story. But yeah, the Wyndham, I think we always kind of do the same thing where we sort of convince ourselves like, oh, it's do or die, man, playing for pink slips. These guys are playing for their jobs. And it's like, yeah, it just doesn't ever seem like it really delivers on that type of juice. But
you delivered with that segment, though.
Oh,
and I want to thank our friends at SoFi, the all-in-one finance app, for sponsoring the Get Your Money Right segment. You can go to SoFi.com/NLU to learn more about how you can get your money right with SoFi Plus. And again, let us know in the comments if you want to nominate for someone for a future Get Your Money Right moment. We're going to get some historical ones with that. We're going to have a lot of fun with that segment. That's one I'm already enjoying. Anything else for kind of movement or anything of note in particular from the Wyndham?
Yeah, I mentioned there was some movement going on. Matty Schmid birdies his last 3 holes. That was a little bit of a confusing one. It's weird, right? Where you get to the CBS guys are doing the best job they possibly can with it, where it's like he absolutely needs this one, and then we'll see. You know, it's not, there's very few definitive putts that are just like, he just made that putt and he's definitely going to, you know, Memphis. But Matty Schmid birdies the last 3 to get the last spot. He entered the week number 70, held on to number 70 thanks to that finish on Sunday. Chris Kirk, quietly, really nice year for Chris Kirk, moves from number 73 to number 61 with a T5 finish. So he is into the playoffs. Davis Thompson, tough finish for him. I remember how bullish I was on Davis Thompson. That was you and me doing that podcast after the John Deere last year. I was like, this guy's going to win 10 times. Maybe. We'll see. A lot of time left, but I didn't love the finish today. 3 putts the last hole to finish 71st. Joe Lunardi, first man out. Tough for him. A couple notables outside the top 70. Both Højgaards are outside the top 70. Gonna have to talk to TC about that one. Keith Mitchell, he's outside the top 70, which means tough chance to move into the top 50, which means it's a tough chance of getting a spot at Pebble, which I know is kind of what he likes to build the season around. Your guy Bez, outside the top 70, quietly, I feel like has played really good golf over the last couple of years, but will not be going to the playoffs. Adam Scott missing the playoffs. Joel Damon missing the playoffs. Tom Kim missing the playoffs. Any comment there, just on a macro level? Your guy seems like he's kind of fallen off a little bit.
You know, I did all I could to carry him in that alt shot video that Titleist posted this past week. You know, made the 60-footer on the second hole, but no, it's not been a good year for my guy. on a lot of fronts, and we're working on some things. We're going to build back better.
I like it. We need to, you and I think, are going to maybe do like a pod at some point, just looking at a couple, like, let's zoom in on some guys, little mini dives on what happened in 2025. And Tom Kim's one I would like to dive into. What are we, is this a swing thing? Are we pressing? Is it just kind of that age? Is it almost like a sophomore slump type of vibe? I don't know, but maybe look for some more intel there soon.
I don't want to distill it. It'd be a little too simple to just say it's chasing speed, but yeah, it's iron play is taking a dip. Driving, distance is still below average and not nearly as accurate as it was. I mean, he was like pinpoint accuracy when he came out, and now he's closer to tour average in accuracy, which you just kind of can't. His whole thing was just being way more accurate than everyone else. Certain golf courses he can compete on, and he took advantage of a lot of them. And now even those, he's not been nearly the same guy at getting the ball in the hole. Unfortunately, This was a season to forget. It's only 2 top 20 finishes all year and 23 starts.
Austin Eckroat not going to the playoffs after 2 wins last year. Max Homa, of course, missed the cut this week and is putting this season behind him, which I'm sure he's ready to do. I think he's got another one on the way and probably ready to kick up his feet and reset a little bit.
Max is exempt through 2028.
Yeah.
For anyone wondering, he's outside the top 100, but that will not matter to him.
Sahith, obviously dealing with injuries all year. He will not be going to the playoffs. And I put this one in there. I think this is really fun. Matt Kuchar, he's still got the fall to figure this out. This would be the first time he's ever finished outside of the top 125 since the FedEx Cup playoffs started. He's currently number 126. And that's
I bet he gets it.
I bet
he's going to go get it. He's going to go get it.
And that's just something to follow. Like, that's one for the psychos only, but like, my God, is that impressive, man?
So impressive.
Never been outside the top, never been outside the 125. And I'm weirdly rooting for him to go get it, to keep that streak alive. Cause that's
all right.
That's shocking, man.
Let's play it. Matt Kuchar career earnings.
I think I just looked it up. Is it like
I'm not going to look, but I'm
$80 million or something like that?
80. Yeah, that's a lot. I was going to guess 62, but I like your guess more. 61.1.
Oh, wow.
All right, people are going to think I cheated that one. That's fine. I don't care if you do think that. That was suspiciously close. I didn't, but I understand where you're coming from if you think I cheated that one.
Yeah, that's about it as far as kind of movers and shakers. We mentioned on the top, Jackson Koivin, top 5 finish. He's now had 3 straight finishes around the top 10, top 11 on the PGA Tour. He is, of course, spending another year at Auburn, kind of deferring that PGA Tour U card for one final year of college golf, which is admirable and cool. And I hope he continues to dominate and can kind of get the best of both worlds going. But
just want to throw this out there again. I do not believe in printing off the strokes gained over the last 3 months and putting them on the Ryder Cup team.
Crazy.
12th best American over the last 3 months has been Jackson.
Now we're talking. Sorry, guys, you're all gone.
Yeah,
you guys are too close together. We're going with Koivin. You guys want fresh blood? Here we go.
It's pretty darn real. Of course, impossible to have missed this if you watched the Wyndham. This was Ian Baker Finch's last tournament with CBS. We talked a little bit about this announcement when it came out last week, but what's your reaction to how it was covered today and to IBF saying farewell?
I am with what you guys said last week. I was listening to you and Bacon last week, and I couldn't agree more that, like, the older I get, the more I appreciate the consistency of voices. And I think you made the point that, I didn't think I was going to miss Maltby and Coke when they went away. And now when they come back, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's what's missing, is just a little bit of a familiar voice. And IBF has definitely become one of those. I think that, I don't know, it'd be easy to take pot shots and say the farewells over the top and yada, yada, yada. But I also don't think anybody's faking that. I think people absolutely love that guy. And that came through from the whole team, which is really cool. And he just seems like he just seems like a truly gentle, kind, nice guy. He's always, like, I don't know if you've ever run into him, but whenever we visited the booth, he's been nothing but hospitable and warm and open to us, which, man, if I had said all of, if I ran into the guys who had been shitting all over my CBS product for years and years, I don't know that I could guarantee that I would react the same way. But man, he's been great. And so you talk to any of the people on that CBS team, they rave about him. And I'm glad he's going out on his terms, and seems like he's going to be doing some golf course design stuff, maybe as a little bit of a side project. And so I hope he soaks up his retirement and absolutely loves it. That's it's a great career.
To even one up that a little bit, Deej, I forget what podcast he was on, but someone had sent it to me that somebody asked him what podcast he listens to, and he mentioned our pod and mentioned like, yeah, those guys like to have a go at us, from time to time. But like, he said something, I don't want to over paraphrase it, but to something that I walked away from that feeling like, oh, he was like seeking out the feedback. He was very like respectful of the way he almost said it, of like, kind of had an ear to the street as to what people were saying, and like it. Again, I don't want to like overly claim credit for CBS's turnaround, but like a big part of their massive turnaround was they were listening to a lot of the feedback and made active changes in how they were doing things. And now, like, honestly, did I think they overdid the stuff a little bit today? Yeah, kind of overshadowed Cameron Young's triumph there at the very end, but they earned the benefit of the doubt with me so much for how they've handled golf over the last several years. And a previous iteration of CBS that would have been eye rolly, but this was like, all right, man, this guy has clearly had a massive impact on a lot of these people that have worked with them. And yeah, I think we'll miss him more than we realize.
Yeah.
Again, since Trevor came along, I think he's I think this is, again, kind of unfair comment in general, but I think working with Faldo as a color analyst made everyone else's job a lot harder. And I think Trevor makes that job a lot easier for everyone, to the point where like I probably didn't appreciate Ian enough during the Faldo years because of how hard Faldo made that job. And now that like he's with somebody that's quite competent in the color commentator chair, his ability to deliver on a moment shines through a lot better. So
yeah. And I think it's interesting too, like just looking ahead to next year, I feel like CBS has done a great job with adding Colt and adding Amanda and adding Trevor. Obviously is probably the biggest example, but they haven't really missed, I don't think, on a hire. And I'd be very curious who they put kind of in that chair as it almost feels like he's like the third guy with Frank Nobilo as well. And so I don't know, it'd be interesting. Like, I guess where I'm going is, I think injecting Trevor and youth and a little bit of like a lot of passion and hard work, and somebody who like really shows up and is walking the range and getting all kinds of stuff, like has only added a ton of energy to the broadcast. And I feels like they have a chance to do that with now another like permanent member of the team. And I think you've seen how much better everybody on the team has gotten just through having Trevor there. And it seems like you can kind of do the same thing, by adding someone to that IBF chair as well. So I don't know who that is, but I'm sure they'll find the right person.
Yeah. He's done a lot of 17th holes for a lot of years. So best of luck to you, Ian. If you are still a listener, I wouldn't blame you if you're not. So. Rory McIlroy skipping the FedEx St. Jude this coming week. Why does Rory hate the kids?
That's the headline for sure. Man, I don't know. I'm kind of shocked, honestly, if I'm trying to come up with a headline here. If I was the PGA Tour and I changed the format, and if anybody has missed this, it's like you now no longer have an advantage when you get to Eastlake. You could go win the first two playoff events by 35 strokes each, and the playing field is equal once you get to Eastlake. I kind of feel like the headline is like Rory's the only player skipping St. Jude. Like the fact that Scotty's
blame him at all
showing up, the fact that some of these other guys are showing up to the 150-degree weather and playing 3 weeks in a row and doing all that is like kind of feels like a massive victory for the PGA Tour. So I do not blame Rory at all. If he just needs another week of rest and get his head right and get ready to go try to win get in that cash booth again and try to grab a bunch of dollar bills in a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Can you help me get there as to why the tour did this year? Why you couldn't just finish the year out with how you thought the year was going to go, which is have starting strokes at the Tour Championship? I get that they surveyed people and people hated it. I don't get, and there's obviously going to be a different format next year. This is clearly a bridge year, but I don't get why you wouldn't have just ridden it out. Like this can't be a good thing for. FedEx is like your money sponsor, and Rory's not going to be there this week, and it's because of the policy change you made for the Tour Championship. This just seems like an own goal that nobody was really asking for. I don't think, and again, I don't think this format is a better way of crowning the champion either.
I would say this is some projection on my part, but to me, it kind of smells of just making decisions by committee. And I feel like maybe it's one of those downstream effects of the players over the last 4 or 5 years since a lot of the live stuff started popping off and they started redrawing some lines and figuring out, how they were going to make changes. I think you heard one constant refrain from the players, which is like, we need to have a seat at the table. We need to make more decisions. We need to be involved, yada, yada, yada. Because I think both of us know some of the options that were on the table for the tour championship, and they seem a hell of a lot better than this, whether it was whittling stuff down in some sort of bracket play or some sort of like even like stroke play matches, or getting to a final on Sunday where you only have 4 guys in the field and those are the 4 guys playing for the FedEx Cup. I think there were a lot of ideas that, like, from somebody who thinks about it constantly for years and years and years and does all the modeling and talks to all the sponsors and talks to the TV networks and talks to all these, like, has all these conversations, I think you can come up with a really good idea. The problem is then they go to the players who have, 3 meetings a year, or you're randomly catching somebody in between hitting a 7-iron and an 8-iron on the range, and there's like, "No, I don't like that idea." And you have to, like, give an outsized amount of weight to those players because they are constantly like, "I didn't go to live, and now I want more of a seat at the table." And I feel like it's almost like perverse incentives of rewarding,
Well,
the
it's like
wrong
also
voices.
if you're 6 through 30, yeah, let's roll the
Right.
balls
Yeah,
out and
there's
let's
a
play. If you're 1 through 5, now we got 25 guys that like this idea and 5 that don't.
Yeah.
Yet it's, obviously that's been a snippet, I guess, a somewhat of a glimpse into what a lot of the tour's problems have been over the years, being that the majority of players on the tour are not the best players.
Yeah.
And
So I don't know. I hope that's not unfair, but like that's certainly what it reeks of to me. Is just like, I know there were a lot of like very interesting ideas on the table that I think
yeah,
fans would have been like really into, and it just seems like they didn't have the players' support, or they didn't have the network support, or I don't know what the situation would have been, but somebody along the line was not into it, and my guess would be the players.
yeah, it just, yeah, it just seems funny. Like, again, very unfair to compare to football, but it's like, this is how we're going to do the Super Bowl this year. And then it's going to be completely different for the rest of the future. But like this
I
year,
know it's week 6, but like we're actually gonna have to change the amount of wild card teams here. We're gonna just go with us. It's not that big a deal. Just play good golf. It won't even matter.
I saw this awful announcing kind of picked up on a tweet that came from Money in Sport, which is diving into some USGA financial statements, just noting that USGA is bracing for a soft market when it comes to their next television contract for their events, including the US Open in 2027. Gets into a little bit of the math behind it of, Fox obviously wrecking the market in the previous cycle and not being a player in this next one. It just to see the USGA kind of officially account for that, and the trickle down effect that might have overall in the game of golf in the US is something that I think is going to be interesting to follow here. Is just seems like NBC is kind of playing a little bit of hardball with them at this point. They exclusive negotiating window that NBC had to re-up their deal has passed, and now it is an open market. But from where I'm sitting, I don't think NBC made a mistake in kind of letting this go to the point where they think they can get a better deal than the previous deal, even though they stole it for pennies on the dollar from Fox. I think the USGA would be kidding themselves if they thought the market was anything like it was back in the early 2010s, whenever this was negotiated, into what it is now.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it's a couple things, and I certainly won't pretend to be super duper well versed in this whole topic. I'm sure everybody should just go read the Money and Sport newsletter, which I'm sure has spent much more time thinking about this. But I think what's interesting about a topic like this is when it's a one-off, not a one-off week, but all the USGA championships package is a bigger package, but you're kind of doing it for the one big swing with the US Open and maybe the US Women's Open. But along with that comes, the USAM and some of these other ones that they've televised over the last couple of years. It's so different than thinking about the PGA Tour rights deal, right? Just based on like a pure inventory standpoint and the amount of critical mass you can get. And the reason it makes sense for CBS and NBC is because, like, man, you're going to pre-sell all my ads, and I've got this time on Sunday afternoon where it's not really prime time. There's not a ton of other competition. You're just going to kind of fill up this inventory with something that's super reliable, and it's going to be pretty much the same sized package every week. Like, man, that sounds pretty good. Whereas this is, of course, going to be much more like it's 1 or 2 weeks a year and you need to pay this astronomical amount. It's just where the man, I have to think that economics on something like that start to get a little wobbly. I don't know how, again, like you said, Fox kind of screwed up the market for everybody else. Like there's only so many people that this is going to make sense for at these numbers, right? And when you don't have, yeah. So I will be watching this with interest because I don't know really what's going to happen. But to your point, it's like the thing that kind of it will get lost is like all the different ways that it'll affect the USGA and golf in the United States and things they're able to do or not do based on, kind of what comes through with that TV deal. I don't really give a fuck if the purse for the US Open changes necessarily, but it's like when you start talking about affecting the USGA's bottom line in like a very significant way is where it kind of becomes like, that's a bigger deal than people probably realize.
It's very funny. I've included a link to the Money in Sport Substack newsletter in the show notes if you're interested. But the very end of the government, there was a significant deficiency found in the internal controls of the USGA, and this is a collision of my previous job. Like I was literally an auditor, where I would, every error I would find would end up with a significant deficiency noted in there. So I'm picking through all the language of the. From a sample of 5 procurement transactions, there was no evidence that management performed. So, a lot of good information in this newsletter about how the USGA costs have trended in a lot of ways. And, obviously the building of the Pinehurst campus was more than double cost of what they were expecting it to be. And just something to keep an eye on here
and who knows how if the equipment change stuff affects any, like, and that's where I'm kind of like, man, who knows? It might be something, it might be nothing, but it's worth very much keeping an eye on. Might need to send you on a rotation out to Far Hills, get the bankers boxes out, get a little tropical smoothie for lunch, and just now we're working through the night, man. Let's keep going.
Tough transition for my last rotation from Amsterdam to Far Hills. That'd be a tough one. But
Far Hills is beautiful. Talk to me.
Last thing I had, you played a little tournament golf this past week, and I believe you had a good time doing it.
I did very little tournament golf. It was 17 holes at the beloved Sandbox at Sand Valley. As many people listening know, especially those in the United States, like every state has its own golf association who usually puts on a myriad of different tournaments, the state am, the state match play, things like that. And the Wisconsin State Golf Association is awesome at mixing in some like truly fun experiences for people. And so they have a Wisconsin par 3 championship that they have at the Sandbox at Sand Valley every year. And it's just basically like you show up, and I wish I could have gotten on camera some of the people's faces who are like, well, surely like you've played the Sandbox before, you've played this event before, right? I'm like, no, I've never played the Sandbox. I don't know what's up. And they're just like, oh no. Oh man. I'm like, well, the holes are like 60 yards. Like I don't, how the greens are big. Like I don't know, how hard could it be? Super hard. Really, 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 really hard. It was so fun. Shout out to my guy Thomas who set up the golf course. He just he's out there trying to make it pretty much as hard as possible. Just pins like, a step off of these ridges with just like a death bunkers here and runoffs there. And it's like, it was great, man. It was really, really fun.
Great concept for a tournament. It's so good.
It was awesome. And so there's like the other cool part about it is like there's just players of kind of all skill levels out there. There's guys who are really grinding. The winner shot 3 under. Shout out to him, which is like really freaking good golf. I shot 10 over, which was
whole high pie 10 over.
Yeah, and you know what? Honestly, I was pretty proud of that because I Russell Westbrook on 2 and 3, little triple double to get out of the gates, and so to get it in 5 over after that was a little bit of a feat, but it was great, man. I bring all of that up to say 2 things. One, we're gonna have a video of every shot so people can judge for themselves whether it was as hard as I was making it look. And 2, just if you have a local golf association who's not doing these sorts of things, I would strongly encourage them to do them. If you have a golf course that works for it, if you have, if they have the staff to put it on, Rob Jansen and his whole squad makes this they do a great job with the state am and all of the big tournaments as well, but they also work in a lot of really fun stuff. And it's just great to, I'm a 8 handicap. Like it's, I'm not out there trying to break par, but it's like, it is still fun to go get the WSGA tees and get a pin sheet and play with the official, tee markers and have the right pin flags. And it's awesome. So to do that in a way that was just a very low, the best way I could describe it is it was like an official golf tournament, hitting cups,
Yes.
playing by the rules, but also it felt so low stakes and so fun, and we had a great time. So shout out to Kurt and Garth, who were my great playing partners, who we had a great time with. And yeah, look for that video sometime in the next couple weeks.
Love it. I'm envious. That sounds like a lot of fun.
And come play it next year. See if you can get a special exemption.
I would love that. I'm on my way to being an 8 handicap also. So I think, if they're letting you in, I think I should be able to get in if I am.
I agree.
Cool. Anything else before we wrap for the week? Lengthy episode this week, but a lot of golf to cover.
No, that's it. I'm excited to go back and listen to the portion on the Women's Open. Ended up watching a lot of that this week. My son is taken to getting up at about 5 a.m. So enjoying that. And yeah,
I did see you were up early on Slack this morning. I was like, oh man, that can't be good.
No,
that can't be good.
So that's it, man. Ready for another week. It's playoff time, baby. You'll see me and Big Randy on the happy hour this week, and we got all kinds of other content stuff in the barn and other things coming out. So things are good.
We'll have a little deep dive into the state of men's pro golf with a guest. That episode will be out Tuesday evening as well. And as mentioned, the happy hour will be live after every Sunday of each of the playoff events. We'll have happy hours every Wednesday and live shows presented by High Noon. The conclusion of play of all 3 of the playoff events that are ahead. So look forward to the playoffs. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and we will see you here next week. Cheers.
Cheers.